Hey there, it is Julie B. Deep Dives with our favorite special guest, Doug Hughes, and of course, Scarlet Echoes.
Hey
We're
everybody.
so happy to be back. Uh, so happy to be back. It's been a while. Haven't been doing enough of these, and yeah, just a lot of life stuff going on for me, a lot of big changes. But we're going to be getting back in gear and doing regular live streams again. And I've really missed everybody. So let's see who's here in the chat. Um, hey there, Trace. Hey, Doc. Nice to see you. Hey, Amy. Hey, just me. I see Doug was in the chat. Doug, thank you so much for doing this. These book club lives are such a great idea, and thank you for sharing this with our community. Given that it's not anywhere that they can actually go buy it, unfortunately, we're going to be discussing your book again, The Poor Player. Sadly, it was never published, even though it's such a great read, and I know folks are going to love it. So we really appreciate it. I mean, how often do we get to actually to read an author's work exclusively and discuss it right here with the author himself? I mean, what a cool thing to
I'm
do.
just as happy to do it as you guys are, because otherwise it's just sitting on my laptop collecting virtual dust. So having an opportunity to share it with people is it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. It's pretty awesome, and I still can't understand why it isn't published, but I know it's an uphill battle for anybody to get something published. I had a friend who tried for years, and she was a salutatorian of my high school class. She was one of the best writers, in the school from a young age, and she just got so discouraged from so many rejections trying to get published. Hey, Kelly, nice to see you. Let's see. Oh yeah, we did have a delay in the start time. Sorry for the wait, guys. Thanks for hanging around. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. Hey there, Noah. Nice to see you. Um, and I think I need to tag everybody on Discord too. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So we're gonna be covering pages 36 to 90 of Doug's book tonight, and it's a really interesting segment. A really interesting, colorful, hilarious, and sometimes surprisingly steamy segment of the book.
I was going to say sensual.
Extremely. Yes, unexpectedly. There's some interesting love interest action going on, literally action going on. And there's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot really interesting characters that you developed, Doug. I just thoroughly enjoyed these wild characters that you crafted, some of the instructors that your protagonist Harry has to work with. Your descriptions are just so vivid and so funny, and yeah, and we'll get into it. I have notes, stuff that I want to ask you about them, the characters, and other things. But yeah, like I wondered as I'm reading it, like, are any of these people? One of the biggest things I wondered immediately was, are any of these people based on anyone you knew?
No, absolutely not. Not one of them.
Yeah.
The closest we have to anyone who's based on a real character is Chantal, the French teacher. And the only similarity she has is that I had a French teacher whose last name was the same as Chantal's. But physically, they don't resemble one another at all. And as people, they're not alike. But yeah, that's as close as we get to any of those people being drawn from real life. Everybody else is totally fictional.
Okay. Yeah. Because some of them are pretty wild. And yeah, there's. Let me see. I'll break out my notes, but yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit more detail. But
I guess we should ask if anybody here who has read this section, if anyone has any messages or questions, please feel free to jump in and
Yes,
fire away.
Please, yeah. If anyone has questions or comments about this section of the book, or the first section, if you missed the first live, you feel free to ask questions about any of the first 90 pages of the book, or offer comments. You can call in. I'm going to post the link in a minute, so anyone who wants to can call in to the StreamYard panel, and we strongly encourage you to do it. It's not as scary as it seems. It's no different than if you were to call well, some people find this a little scary too, calling a phone number to call into one of these shows. But I mean, it's all family here. Right? There's nothing to be scared of. We don't bite, and so, you know, not even the Rottweiler here, which is Doug's handle on Discord. We don't bite. And I'm gonna post the link so that anyone who wants to can join the panel at any time during the live.
So we've got a question here from Just Me. She wants to know if protection was used.
Yeah.
I purposefully didn't go into those details, so I will leave that to your imagination.
Yeah, she said definitely some wild times. Yeah, there were some steamy scenes. Not one but two. I was surprised in such a short period of time. We got Harry really got around with both Chantal and Olivia, two beautiful instructors at his CSIS, that spy training boot camp, essentially. And it was a really entertaining section of the book, I gotta say.
Well, and I'll tell you what that was all about. Why the two women are so stunningly beautiful, and why so much sex so quickly. And I was playing with, and this is something that sort of happens a few points in the book, where I'm sort of playing with the tropes of, you know, the things you see in spy movies, particularly with James Bond, for instance. You know, he's always betting these stunningly gorgeous women. But I wanted to sort of take that trope and turn it on its head a little bit, because one example of that is that, you know, with James Bond, he's always initiating it, you know, and with Harry, in both cases, it's kind of inadvertent that it happens. And that's a big part of Harry as a character. You know, unlike James Bond, he's kind of the antithesis of James Bond in that sense, because he doesn't see himself as a hero at all. And any kind of heroics that he gets involved in are usually of the inadvertent variety, you know, or they come about because he's forced into a situation where he has to employ those kinds of strategies, you know. And it was the same thing with the women. It's like, I wanted that to be, you know, I wanted that trope in there, but I wanted to screw around with it a little bit, you know. And I mean, one of my favorite lines is when he says to Pete, you know, when after he's had his first classes with both of them, and he says, you know, that, like, are they graduates of some school that only takes supermodel Mensa members? You know, because the whole idea of that is so unrealistic to begin with, you know.
Yeah,
that's kind of where all that stuff came from.
I would have guessed, Doug, that they were fembots. I thought that's what the twist was going to be.
Right.
Well, as that scene takes place in 1991, it's a little early for that, but there is something else about, I don't want to give away too much, but there's something else about his connection with those two women that where I take that trope and really turn it on its head. But that happens later in the book, so I won't say any more about that right now.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Let's see. Vibrant Numerals. Hey, nice to see you. She says, hi, Julie and Doug.
Howdy.
And I'm gonna see if I can find actually Vibrant Numerals. I think you have if I gave you a wrench. No, I didn't give you a wrench. Okay. I'm gonna give you a wrench please feel free to drop your link to your channel in the chat. I'm always happy to support fellow content creator, and yeah, I would love to support you.
Miss J is here too.
Oh yeah, hi Miss J, nice to see you. So there, I gave you a wrench, Vibrant Numerals. So that means as a mod, you can just drop your link to your channel in the chat. So if anyone is interested in numerology, check out Vibrant Numerals channel. Anyway, so yeah, getting back to Chantal and Olivia. Yeah, it was interesting. I thought, you know, hold on a sec. I thought that it was interesting how you used Harry's encounters with these two women as a kind of case in point example of the life of a theater actor. You know, that sometimes you might have intense connections. You might make intense connections with someone, be it a friend or a love interest, and unfortunately, you know, you come in and out of each other's lives, and they, you know, you just can't have a lasting relationship with them. And that's something that that, you know, like you tied it in near the end of that section with that. I think it was, yeah. So
the conversation with Pete, you mean?
He was talking to Pete, and he's like, look, this is something you're going to have to get used to. People are going to be coming and going from your life with great regularity from now on. You're going to find yourself in a lot of intense short-term relationships, most of which will come to an end with little or no warning. It's the nature of the job. And then, as the narrator, Harry says, it sounded like he was describing my theater career.
Yeah.
So that you were drawing that from personal experience, I'm guessing.
Well, and not just my own personal experience, but you know, lots of actors' experience. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the term showmance before, and it's one of those love affairs that happens while you're doing a show with somebody, and it doesn't start until rehearsals, and it usually ends on closing night, you know, or shortly thereafter. And there's a famous story, I think I told it on here before. There was a famous Canadian film and theater actress named Kate Reid. And she was being interviewed on TV in one of these entertainment programs one time. This is decades ago. And the interviewer said to her, you know, I noticed that you've never married. It was either that she had never married or she'd been married only once and never remarried. And he asked her why that was. And she said, well, actually, it almost happened once. And he said, what happened? And she said, the show closed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like,
and I think she was being a little flippant, but I'm sure there was a lot of truth in that comment too.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, that it's the nature of the business, unfortunately. Like Just Me said, that line hits hard about connection. Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be difficult. You know, you're, as a theater director, you're traveling all the time. And, you know, in many cases anyway, just doing a lot of traveling. So trying to put down roots and settle down with one person is a lot more difficult than it would be in a lot of other professions. And thank you, Doc, for dropping the link to Vibrant Numerals channel. Check that out. Check out Miss J's Reviews channel as well. Yeah, she covers TV shows, so along with Mr. Grant Gregory, her partner. So definitely check out her channel if you haven't already. Anyway, yeah. So that connection to the life of a theater actor, it's just it's a great example of how you you know, kind of wove your own life experiences into Harry's life, you know, like taking this, you know, essentially it's like a veiled autobiography, as we've said, and that's one example of how you weave that in, and of course make it more colorful by spinning this as Harry's a spy and all of that, but interspersed within are kernels of truth about your own life and anecdotes and things like that.
Absolutely.
And personality traits too, right?
And in the section that people will be reading next, this issue comes up. It becomes quite central to the story in the next section. I'll just say that much. One other thing about the characters in this section here, I hadn't really thought about this. I was just rereading it today just to sort of brush up on what we'd be talking about. And I realized that several of the characters that we meet at spy school come back much later in the book in really interesting sorts of ways that there are a lot of seeds planted in this section that bear fruit much further down the road.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So we'll stay tuned for that. And check out Mr. Grant Gregory's channel too. Thank you, Doc, for dropping that link. I was gonna say one of the things that also came to mind in terms of weaving your own experience into this book, something else that jumped out at me in this section was when Harry is interacting with Olivia and he's getting to know her, and basically her job as his teacher is to help him learn how to read people more closely and figure out their tells. And he's already naturally good at that, really exceptionally good at that, and good at psychoanalyzing people. Without being a psychiatrist or anything of the sort, he's able to psychoanalyze her. And he does so in brilliant fashion by the end. It takes him some time over the course of getting to know her. And eventually it clicks and he figures out what really makes her tick. And he leaves her with some really great advice, some motivational life advice for her, which I thought was really true to your personality too, because you could be an amateur psychiatrist yourself. You're really great at reading people and giving amazing motivational advice. And you've given great pep talks. We know that. We've seen that via your, what do you call them? Your cameos. And I've personally experienced great advice from you before. So yeah, that's definitely something about Harry that I know is a part of you.
Well, as I said in I think our first live about the book, that's kind of Harry's superpower, Now, one of the things that Olivia helps him to do is to hone his skill. He spends 7 months with her working on this. So presumably by the end of his tutelage, he's much better at this than he already was. But yeah, he's innately talented at this. And I love that bit where, she kind of mentally undresses him in their first interview, and then he turns around and does exactly the same thing to her,
Yep. It's like they both felt so exposed. Just the way he completely reads her deepest insecurities and what's holding her back in life and what she needs to let go of, how she's standing in her own way. And vice versa. She does the same to him. It's really remarkable. And something, it's naturally something you're great at too. So Just Me said maybe Jean-Louis will make an interesting return.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, Just Me, but no, Jean-Louis and what's his name, McFarlane, the interrogation guy, they're just there for the school. Most of the other people that we meet do come back, but those two we don't see again, unfortunately. Samuel is asking about tabernacle. Tabernacle, the way it's spelt is that's how people spell it as a slang word, but it actually comes from the French word tabernacle. French cuss words, particularly in Quebec, are mostly to do with the church. Maudit is damn. You'll hear that a lot. Asti is the host, that you get, and calice is the chalice. I mean, these are words that don't have any particular profane meaning in English, but because Quebecois society was so Catholic, all the French that came over to settle the country were Catholic. So Catholicism has always been a huge part of Quebecois culture. So a lot of their swear words are in fact just terms from the church, tabernacle being one of the most common. And if people don't want to swear, instead of saying tabernacle, they'll say something like tabarouette or tabarnouche, or they have all different sorts of ways of saying, which is kind of like saying darn instead of damn,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always love learning cuss words in other languages. It's it's silly, but
And,
it's fun.
I mean, I've read Murday in a few of these, but I don't know what the rest of them mean.
What's that? Sorry?
Like I can't speak French. Espèce de merte. I'm gonna pronounce it in Spanish, the Spanish tongue. Rate merde?
Merd? Could it be?
Oh, merde,
Merde.
merde is shit. Yeah.
No, merde
And
is
Yeah.
in Spanish. I know, like I
maudit
said, I
merde
know
is
Spanish.
goddamn
I don't
shit.
know French.
Yeah.
Merde.
Merd I recognized from my French. I did learn a few French cuss words in
So
French
I'll
class.
spell it out to you. ESPECE, one word, DE, and then merde.
Oh yeah, that's espèce de merde. That means piece of shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 All right. I have these down, so I'll translate them.
Yeah.
And this other one, the first word is MAUDITE, merd.
That's maudit, or that's the feminine version, or maudit is the male, and that means damn or damned.
Oh, okay.
They refer to the English, a lot of Quebecois refer to the English as maudit anglais, those damn English.
Yeah. And then there's something about a sacrament, so that's kind of
sacrament. There's another church term that you'll hear sacrament all the time in Quebec. It's very, very common.
Yeah, there's a scene in the book where Chantal is going over all kinds of cuss words with him in French. You didn't go into all of them in the book, like you don't actually mention them all, but yeah, it's always fun. Yeah, that's one of the fun parts of learning another language, and there was also a part where let me see if I can find it in my notes here. Yeah, he was oh yeah, he was speaking in all different Harry was like speaking in all different dialects of the Canadian accent.
Yes.
And like really impressing his instructor with his ability to do that, and then doing them in all different Looney Tunes voices as well too. Is this something you're actually able to do, where you could do all different Canadian versions of the Canadian accent, Doug?
I can do a few, and not so much Canadian, but for example, I can do like a sort of generic Quebecois accent very easily, but I can also switch into continental French if I need to. Pourrais commencer comme un vrai Français de la France, par exemple. Je pourrais dire quelque chose en français comme quelqu'un qui venait de Paris, par exemple. Mais je peux changer tout à coup dans un accent québécois qui est très, très différent. On peut entendre la différence comme ça. Did you hear the difference between the two?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There's a marked difference between the two.
And actually, that bit with Chantal comes from a real conversation I was having with a friend. I have this friend who lives in Gatineau now, which is in Quebec. It's right over the river from Ottawa. She works in Ottawa for the federal government, and she's French is her first language, but she speaks English very well. Her English is actually a little better than my French. But we would have I met her when I was in high school. We met on a school trip to Rome back in like 1975. And we've just stayed in contact ever since. And I've gotten to see her a number of times over the years. I shot a couple of movies up in Ottawa, so I've got to see her while I was there. And she's visited me a couple of times in Toronto, and we just kind of stayed in touch. But one time, many years ago, like if you hear us talking on the phone, it's really hilarious because we're constantly switching between the two languages, you know. But one time we started doing all these silly different accents. And, you know, she was doing a lot of them in French for me. And for example, she was doing a Franco-Ontarian accent, Franco-Ontarien, which is like her version of it is like it's totally up your nose, you know, and stuff like that. And we were just getting very silly on the phone together. And that's where that scene in the book came from.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have a talent for accents in various languages, so I'm not surprised. Yeah, you can do different dialects of you know, the Canadian accent or the French Canadian accent, I guess. Yeah, and he, like, she was also impressed. Chantal was impressed by how he knew French so well just from learning it in high school. And it was the same with you. You just took high school French, right? Like you didn't take anything beyond high school level French.
Well, I didn't until like 11 years after I got out of high school. I was hired to do a show with this Italian theater company. It's this two-hander version of Robinson Crusoe that these Italian guys have been touring around, well, at the time had been touring around the world for several years, playing children's theater. It's a kids show, playing children's theater festivals and stuff like that around the world. And what they would do is in many of the different countries where they performed, they would get a couple of actors from that company to fly to Italy. They were based in Turin. They would teach the show to the guys in Italy and send them home so they could do their own productions. So they brought this show to Winnipeg, and this company in Winnipeg decided to send a couple of actors to Italy to learn the show. So I was asked if I wanted to do it. And I said, are you kidding? I would love to. But I was told these guys only spoke Italian and French. They didn't speak any English, really. And I speak a tiny bit of Italian, but, you know, I thought much better to just brush up the French that I have rather than, you know, start Italian from scratch. So I signed up for this 3-week immersion program in a part of Quebec where it's very, very French. There are no people around that really speak English in this region. It's called Saguenay. It's the Saguenay River. And that whole area there is like, you don't hear English there at all. And there's a post-secondary school there in this town called Jean-Pierre. And I spent 3 weeks there in this immersion program. And I was very concerned when I got there because it had been 11 years since I'd left high school. And I would occasionally get to use my French, like in the odd interview if I was doing a show or something like that. But really, I had very little opportunity to practice my French. And I was really concerned that I had probably lost a lot of it. And within a day or two of getting there, I realized that, like, I'd go to say something and I think, I'm not going to remember what that word is. And it would just come out of my mouth, you know? And
Wow.
I realized pretty quickly that it was all still in there and it all sort of came back to life very quickly. But those 3 weeks in Jonquière are really the only French training I've had outside of high school. And that was back in 1987. So that's almost 40 years ago. So
that's amazing. And I have had the same concerns about losing my French that I studied in high school and college. I've never had any opportunity to use it, but yeah, maybe there's hope for me too if I try to jump back in and relearn it or dredge up what's still buried in there.
I would strongly recommend hooking up with one of those programs like Babbel or Duolingo or one of those, because I think what you would find, and they're both great because they do a lot of conversational stuff. And I think you would find the same thing, that stuff is still in there. It just needs to be reawakened, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will give it a shot. Now I wanted to talk about getting back into the book, your descriptions of these characters, just as an example, just how vivid they are, how vivid and something you can easily just picture, and it's so entertaining to read. For example, Jean-Louis, this section here. So it's let's see. So he's woken up by him screaming at him in French. He's like, I was up like a shot and opened the door only to find myself ducking a blow from a ham-sized fist coming straight at my face. I straightened up, coming face to sternum with a grizzled, red-headed behemoth who looked like the Thing from the Fantastic Four. And then going on further, he's got a really very thick accent, and you write it out so that you can hear the voice in your head. Ari Hargreaves, and it's, it's just so vivid, the way that you characterize these people. And that's why I was thinking, like, oh, maybe you knew some guy like that, but that was just something that you concocted, the descriptions that you have of these people.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's not based on a real person, but I mean, the French is certainly based on lots of people I've met over the years, people that don't speak too much English, that the way they talk and all that, and the way they throw French word into the sentence that they're saying, stuff like that. I've met lots of those kind of folks over the years. So yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I was doing a school tour back in 1984. I was doing this tour, this Canadian show called Alligator Pie. It was for kids. And we spent a couple of days at Bishop's University, which is in Quebec, not terribly far from Montreal. Again, a French-speaking region, but where there are people that speak a fair amount of English too. And this was before I did the immersion program in Jonquière. So this was like about 3 years before that. So I hadn't had any French since high school. So I was a little apprehensive about using my French when we got there, but it was like, no, we're in Quebec. I'm going to use my French, you know. And there was this restaurant in town called Le Café Blah Blah, which I thought was the best name for a cafe ever. And and there were these two waitresses that worked in there named Chantal. Well, I don't know what their names were, but our director, who is fluently bilingual, he grew up in Eastern Ontario in a town called Cornwall, which is very close to the Quebec border. And French is actually his mother tongue, but he speaks both of them absolutely fluently with no trace of an accent. He was there coming to see the show while we were in Quebec. So he nicknamed these two waitresses Chantal and Jeanette. And that's where Chantal's name came from, actually. And I don't know what their real names were, but I fell in love with both of them just because I have this fatal attraction to waitresses for some reason. I don't know why. But, you know, most of the people on the tour spoke very little French. So, and they're trying really hard, right? But the kind of French you'd get would be them looking at the menu, saying things like, je prendrai le sandwich au chambon, you know, like that kind of French, right? And,
yes.
But the last day that we were there, we had I tried to find every excuse I could to eat at Le Café Blah Blah. So that's where we went for dinner on our last day there. And one of the two waitresses, Chantal or Jeanette, I don't know which one it was, I was doing my best to flirt with her during dinner. And at the end of the dinner, I was paying for my bill. She said to me, "Excusez-moi, monsieur, mais vous ne venez pas d'ici, hein?" Which is Quebecois for, "Excuse me, sir, but you're not from here, are you?" I thought, what was your first clue, lady? You know, je prendrai le sandwich. Yeah, no, nous ne venons pas d'ici. Anyway, but yeah.
Is that cafe still around, Doug?
I have no idea. I haven't been back to. It was a little town called Sherbrooke. I haven't been back to Sherbrooke since that tour. And that was over 40 years ago. So
because if it's gone, you should use it in something that you're writing.
Well, I could put it in anyway.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a scene later in the book that takes place at a restaurant in Montreal, and it is based on a real restaurant, although I haven't actually been there myself. I just found it online and I read this place and I went, oh, this is fascinating. I got a restaurant scene. I got to use this. So you'll get to that much later in the book.
Right. Oh, and I was trying to scroll and find another description, another quote of a description of a character I just wanted to quote here because I just loved this. Alex McFarlane, another of the instructors, and you described him this way. He had, so he was a squat Scottish fireplug named Alex McFarlane. He had a frazzled mane of hair, the same flaming shade of red as Jean-Louis' mop, along with an impressive handlebar mustache. He was a former Canadian Forces intelligence officer who'd made the leap to CSIS when it came into being. His eyes had a haunted gleam about them that suggested they'd seen a lot of things he'd like to unsee, and he had this weird habit of turning around abruptly as he paced about the room, as though he expected to find some knife-wielding attacker sneaking up behind him. I just loved that characterization. Especially given it's really amazing knowing like you just dreamed that up. You didn't even base him on anybody that you knew. You're just great at descriptive writing and imaginative enough to create such a vivid character like that.
Ironically enough, his name came from a real person, another French teacher, one of my French teachers from high school, who was a redhead. So maybe I was thinking of, maybe that's why I thought of her name, because I made him a redhead. But no, he's a total invention. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she didn't have a handlebar mustache?
No. Not even a little one.
Oh.
Well, as someone who loves the written word and I love descriptive writing, it's so enjoyable to read prose like that. So I really enjoyed your descriptions. And I want to highlight Vibrant Numerals' comment here saying, I love getting peeks of you as the author in Harry and getting to learn more about Canada within the story. How did your audience for the book influence the characters?
My audience for the book.
Yeah, so maybe yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe Vibrant Numerals, clarify what that part of the question maybe a little bit. What you mean by the audience for the book. But
oh, you mean my choice, like, was my choice of characters influenced by the people that I thought would end up reading the book? For example, was I writing this specifically for a Canadian audience? Is that where you were going with that one?
yeah, let us know if that's not what you meant.
It isn't really. I mean,
yeah.
I think because the book is set in Canada and it's such a Canadian story, obviously Canadians would have an easier time of it. But I tried to write it in such a way that if you knew nothing about Canadian culture, you would understand all of this. Like, I tried to give enough explanation and enough context for the Canadian side of the story that even someone who wasn't familiar with the country at all would get it, you know?
Right.
Like when I read about the musical Ride,
yes,
I had to kind of imagine what that looked like in my head because I don't think I've ever seen it.
Well, I don't have a $50 bill handy, and this was an old bill anyway. You don't see this anymore.
Oh, okay.
That the bit that they have on the back of the $50 bill, or had, there's this one bit in the musical Ride where all of these horses are in a circle, and all of the Mounties riding them are pointing their pikes towards the center of the circle. So, you know, and as I say, at the time it was known as a Newfie firing squad, because, you know, we used to make Newfie jokes about that part of the country. And it's so crazy that should come up today, because there was actually a thing on the news about those horses. Because they're a special breed of horses, and they have a bunch of them that they're now selling because they don't need them. But in the midst of the news report, they also mentioned that they had something like 70 pounds of horse semen that they were selling along with the horses. And that made the national news today, did it? Okay, well,
That's
whatever.
your thing.
Wow.
But I thought
Somebody's
it was really ironic. That should come out on the very day when we were going to be having this conversation about that part of the book. So there you go.
Weird coincidence there.
Okay.
Amy, oh my God, is right. What in the world?
And
yeah.
with the Mounties too, it's like we're not Mounties not looked upon well in this scene because they said to put in their closet, or it's just to keep ex-Mounties comfortable.
Oh, the Mounties, the Mounties do not come off looking very well in this book at all. And it's one of the reasons that CSIS doesn't come off looking very well either, because as was explained in the earlier part of the book well, no, I guess it was in this section where Pete gives him the explanation of all of this stuff, that when CSIS was created, most of the first CSIS agents were just Mounties who got told one day, okay, you're now in CSIS, right? But it was the same guys, and they were not trained as intelligence officers. They were trained as cops, basically. I mean, RCMP, they're police first and foremost. And in lots of parts of the country, they're the provincial police or the local police, as well as being a federal police force at the same time. It's kind of a weird hybrid organization. But most people in Canada, like on a daily basis, if they're encountering a Mountie, it's a cop. It's a cop driving a cop car, you know? Of course, they have all the pomp and circumstance for official proceedings, you know, the dress uniforms and the musical Ride and all that crap. But most Mounties you see on a daily basis just look like, you know, your everyday police officer.
Right.
And that because I remember going to Toronto and seeing Mounties on horses. Do they still have Mounties on horses?
Well, we have regular police on horses here in Toronto, but
Okay.
you'll occasionally see them. I mean, at places like, City Hall and stuff like that. But if you're seeing
Mhm.
something like that, there's probably some official
Oh yeah.
ceremony going on somewhere. That's why they're there, because they don't go around dressed like that all the time. Those are just dress uniforms.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wondered that myself, actually. And yeah, I second what Vibrant Numerals was saying about getting to learn more about Canada within the story. I mean, the American school system teaches next to nothing about Canadian history, next to nothing. And so I am embarrassed at how little I knew about some of this stuff that came up. Like, he had a class on Canadian politics, Harry did. And so you have a little bit of description about what he was learning, how it was something of a miracle that John A. Macdonald had convinced the original 4 provinces to form the country, and an even greater one that the remaining 6 provinces and 2 territories were also talked into coming along for the ride. Perhaps the greatest miracle of all was the fact that these disparate regions had managed to function as a nation for over a century. Like I didn't realize, that there were all these competing interests. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, every country has its competing interests. I just didn't know about all the details specific to Canada, the competing interests in different parts of the country, and how difficult it was to unite all of them together.
And that was a really challenging part of the book to write, because it's like, all right, I need this information there. A lot of this information is there because it's essential for the plot later in the book. Right? I had kind of forgotten until I reread this section just prior to us doing this live tonight, how much stuff there is in the training part of the book that comes back to haunt us later. And that's why a lot of those politics are there, because it's essentially a political story, and you need to know this shit in order for it to make sense down the road,
Right. And yeah, it's like you can tell reading it that it's something like you don't want to delve too deep into it, because like even Harry says it was pretty dry stuff. Like that this is kind of a dry thing that you have to address, but you kept it, I think you kept it just brief enough, and moved on to the more colorful and entertaining parts of the story, but you gave us enough information that the average reader really needed to know, because unfortunately, once again, the American school system teaches embarrassingly little about Canadian history and politics. And this is stuff we need to know further on down in the book.
Well, and that's why there are phrases in there like it was pretty dry stuff, and why 2 of the RCMP guys are asleep at the end of his presentation. Because that's me apologizing for having to lay out all this shit in the first place.
I noticed that. Yes.
But again, it's essential. It's also essential for Harry to know this stuff, which again will become clear as the story progresses. Yeah.
Well, I like how you slipped that in there. Like it's like, okay, the author acknowledging, like, hey, I gotta give you this information, and you're acknowledging, like, yeah, it's dry, but it's gonna be necessary to know later. And then there's a section with counterinsurgency, and basically, he's learning about some pretty wild stuff, and in the process of it, I thought this was hilarious. So he learns about advanced interrogation techniques, and he's very interested to learn about it, but then his interest, it says, evaporated. However, when I discovered that McFarlane's idea of advanced interrogation techniques involved stripping me down to my underwear, blindfolding me, handcuffing me to a chair, my feet in a bucket of water, and electrodes attached to my nether regions, as he screamed, "All right, you wee piece of shite, I guess." How long have you been spying for the fucking Russians? That was hilarious.
See, Julie, you got to get out of my head, because I have it in my notes too. We're getting the same quotes. We didn't confirm before.
And of course, McFarlane is a Scot, so, and that's why it's shite, not shit, But it's all right, you wee piece of shite. How long have you been spying for the fucking Russians. Well,
Yes. So that was hilarious. Yeah, I could hear you screaming it in your voice with that accent. Uh, now that I'm assuming is you taking artistic license. Because Canada, like CSIS, I think you had said in the previous live that CSIS is focused on more like domestic issues, and they probably aren't practicing those kinds of wild interrogation techniques, actual torture on people. I'm guessing.
Actually, at least in the early days of CSIS, no, I could not say that they weren't. Let me put it that way.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the CSIS was formed primarily because the RCMP was doing all kinds of stuff that they weren't legally empowered to do. They were opening people's mail. They were, going after people without proper warrants. There was one section where they actually smoked out a bunch of guys by setting fire to a barn that the guys were in. And I mean, these stories kept coming out in the press, and the RCMP was getting raked over the coals for all of this illegal behavior. And so much pressure was put on the government, they decided, okay, we have to create a separate entity that deals primarily with intelligence and security issues and take that job away from the RCMP.
Okay.
But all that meant was that CSIS, that was now legally empowered to do these things, just kept doing them anyway. And the oversight over CSIS, it's much better now than it used to be. But the oversight, there was a committee established to sort of do official oversight, do an annual report on CSIS every year. But it was so arm's length and so toothless. I mean, basically, CSIS would file a report at the end of the year. They could basically say whatever they wanted, and these guys would just rubber stamp it, and that was that. There was really no oversight at all. And they were getting away with all kinds of dirt. I mean, when I started working on the book, I read about 4 or 5 books on the history of CSIS, and a couple of them were very sort of jingoistic, rah-rah, pro-CSIS books, but the truth is much uglier. Like the real books, one of them was written by an investigative journalist who used to work for the Globe and Mail, which is one of the national newspapers here. It was very much the way Pete describes them. It was a mess. And they were doing all kinds of shit that was not at all legal and really corrupt. So yeah, there was a lot of dirty laundry. Let me just say that.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's wild because we think in the U.S. we think of Canada as just kind of above all of that, like that I would not have expected Canada to have been engaging in that kind of extreme torture of people, like that's
and I mean that I took a little bit of artistic license there. And I mean, all McFarlane is doing is training him. He's training him to deal with, like, if you get captured and you get tortured, you have to know how to deal with this, It's right. I wasn't trying to imply that CSIS is doing this to people that they're interrogating.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see, now that makes sense. That makes sense. Samuel said that's a real torture technique. I read about that one. Box torture and white room torture. Yeah. It's nasty stuff. Yeah. I don't agree with torture. And I think it comes up in this section of the book too, that, essentially like that usually just is not reliable anyway, because I think Olivia brings it up, because people who are being tortured just want the torture to stop. So eventually they'll say almost anything to make that happen. Whereas like the kind of training Olivia is trying to provide, she says works better, trying to learn how to read people and their tells and get information out of them, make them comfortable with you in a way. And that works better. Yeah. And, Noah said, Doug, that was a spot on Scottish accent. Yes, Doug is a master of accents. He really is. Hi, Steve. Long time
no. My Polish.
Yes, you're Polish. Amazing. Nice to see you. Steve says, Julie and Doug, it's great to see your faces again. Scarlet, lovely as always to hear your voice.
Well, it's great to see your flaming head too, Stevens. So there you go.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's great to see you, Steve. And have you had a chance to catch up to this section of the book? Steve, if you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear them. And not trying to put you in the hot seat, but feel free. And I just want to remind everybody that you can call into the panel if you would like. I pinned the link a while ago to the top of the chat. So it's right there. If anyone would like to call in with a question or comment, just click the link. You can choose to have your camera on or off, whatever you are comfortable with. And you just get added to the panel. And that's as simple as that. You'll just be another square up here on the screen with us if you would like to join. And anyone is welcome. Steve says, yes, I've been reading it and love it. Awesome to hear.
How far into the book are you, Stevens? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, Steve, have you caught up? We're going up to page 90, which was a perfect cutoff point for tonight because it just ties up in a nice bow the section of the book where Harry is in training as a spy. So perfect place for us to stop.
Tabitha's here. Tabitha?
Hi, Tabitha. Nice to see you. Glad you could make it. I sent her over a PDF of the book. And anybody, by the way, anyone out there listening to this, whether you're listening on the replay later or what have you, you can still get a copy of the book and catch up with us. Doug was kind enough to provide this for free, and I can email it to you. And all you have to do is send me a message at JulieBDeepDives@gmail.com. All that info is in the description of this video as well. So not too late if you would like to get a copy and read along with us. Hey, Rose. Nice to see you.
Hello, Rose.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose. Yeah, I am feeling better. My quality of life has improved a lot in the time that I've been away. My pain has been better managed, and so things are really looking up for me. And I'm gonna be back here doing lives much more regularly as my life starts to settle down. Just in a period of transition at the moment. So Tabitha also said, I have missed you guys so much. Well, we missed you too. And it's great to see you. Doc said, oh, wait, Canada is a country? I thought Doug kept saying Canada. Oh, my God. That's too funny, Doc. Steve says...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. Steve said I would join the panel, but I'm at the hospital. My mom is having complications with her cancer, and I'm sleeping at the hospital here, but I have to be quiet because they made an exception for me to stay. I am so sorry, Steve. I am so sorry to hear that. Our hearts go out to you and your mom, and we're here for you. I really hope that she gets better soon and is getting the best treatment possible, and sending prayers out for you and your mom. Hang in there. So sorry to hear that. Wow. So that being said, I hope we can take your mind off it for a little while. Have a positive distraction, Steve. I'm really glad that you could join us here in the chat, and we're always here to support any member of our little family here who's going through something in your life, a huge challenge, and that's just, I can't even imagine how stressful and scary that is. So we are all here for you. Tabitha, with that being said, Tabitha has questions. Well, throw them at us, Tabitha. We are all ears. We are all ears. Yes, prayers for Steve's mom. Thank you, Rose and Amy. Thank you for that. And Tabitha, feel free to join the panel if you feel like it. The link is at the top of the chat. No pressure. Sorry I'm not trying to put you in the hot seat either, but anyone is welcome to call into the panel if you would like. or we can you can throw your questions here into the chat, whenever you are comfortable with. And yes, Tabitha, we are going up to page 90, which is easy to remember, where, if you've already blown past that, it's just up until Harry finishes spy boot camp.
Yeah, I think I read to 97. I just read to the asterisks again because I didn't know where to stop. I'm a little ahead.
Yeah. Steve, thank you so much. Fingers crossed. Your stream couldn't have come back at a more perfect time. You guys are my therapy. Well, you're so welcome, Steve. We're here for you, whatever we can do, even if it's just to take your mind off of what you're dealing with, even just for a little while. We're here to support you. Tabitha says, up to page 90, which characters do you feel most drawn to or sympathetic toward, and why, Doug?
Oh, are you asking me that, Tabitha, or are you asking the people who have read it?
For everyone on the panel, she says.
Oh.
So, I would say, I have to go with Harry personally. Like, Harry is basically Doug. It's his personality. It's his personality through and through. He's got the same sense of humor, and yeah, so I'm definitely most drawn to the character of Harry because of that. He's just so entertaining, and yeah, I love hearing Doug's voice through Harry. But yeah, there's just so many great characters. I love even the ones who are transitory, just in this one section, who we may not, I'm not going to give anything away, but some of them we may not ever read about again. Like Jean-Louis and McFarlane are freaking hilarious. I love that.
I want him to come back. McFarlane.
Right? Yeah. Scarlet, what about you? What would be your answer to Tabitha's question?
Well, I'm thinking about the same. I feel like I'm most most sympathetic with the main character. I think the other ones, just like the Scottish Guard, is people I want to come back for the humor of it. I don't know if I can necessarily sympathize with them, but I would like them in the story.
Right.
Well, yeah. I would just say for those of you who are amused by characters who may or may not make other appearances in the book, there are lots of other people to come just yet. So.
Yeah.
And in fact, the character that I am most drawn to in the entire book hasn't made their appearance yet.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
But if I had to choose one up until page 90, it's a real toss-up between Chantal and Olivia. But if pushed, I would probably say Olivia. And I think the reason being is that, in a way, she's kind of the most inaccessible of the people that Harry meets. And I'm automatically drawn to people like that. So, and I think when I created her, that was consciously or unconsciously my intention.
Right. Yeah.
But there's no little triangle like the Amour between
the three of them?
Oh yeah.
No, that will not be happening.
Oh, okay.
There was something that was going to happen with, actually, in an earlier draft of the book, there was something that happened with Olivia and Harry much later in the book that it was a really neat, poignant bit of the book, but the book is very long. And it was just one of those sections that, as much as I liked it, it wasn't actually advancing the story, and you could easily live without it. So it was a classic example of having to kill one of my darlings. But don't worry, there'll be lots more of some of these people down the road. So part of the fun of writing this book was, this is in the synopsis. When I was shopping this book around, of course, I had to create a synopsis to send in the cover letter. And I talk about how, these events happen back 30 odd years ago. And then we jump to the present day where the ghosts of that period are resurrected. So lots of stuff that's happening back when Harry's a young guy will come back in a variety of forms later on in the book. I think it's safe to say that without giving away too much.
Nice. And I just want to add too, it's not just Harry's sense of humor that makes you root for him too, and makes me favor him over others. It's just he's just that underdog that you want to root for, the way that Olivia has him pegged, and she basically psychoanalyzes him and what he went through growing up with a father who, made him feel insecure about himself, and how he's unlucky in love, and he's and then look what happens. He manages to connect with these two beautiful women in one short period of time, and he's just the kind of character you can't help but root for, and you just really, you're like cheering for him when this kind of stuff happens. So yeah, he's an extremely sympathetic character. And Tabitha said, I was doing that too, hearing Doug's voice in Harry, right? Exactly.
Well, and the whole idea of him being an underdog, I mean, again, this was me sort of taking the James Bond trope and turning it on its head. It was really important to me that he be this guy who didn't have a lot of faith in his abilities, who always felt a little bit like he was in over his head, and for whom many of his successes are not exactly inadvertent, but there's an element of luck involved, that, or whatever circumstance that enables him to prevail. For example, the fight with Jean-Louis, the way he wins that fight, it's a combination of Harry's effort and training, but also just blind luck. Against all odds, he manages to find a way to overpower this guy, where the fight should have been no contest whatsoever. That's kind of Harry's experience throughout the book in a nutshell, right there.
Right. Yeah, that's an amazing part of the book too. His final exam, where it's it's really funny too, the way it's described. It's the WWF exam, whatever works, fuckhead. It's so damn funny. I loved that. And he manages to take this guy down using just like the guy's own momentum. He's running at him. This guy is way bigger than him, and he's running at him. And Harry just kind of steps aside and then puts an elbow up and just clocks him in the head in just the right spot. And the guy goes down, knocks him out cold. It's just, it's a really entertaining thing. And the way that you wrapped it up with, it was already described as the whatever works fuckhead method of fighting, but then Harry kind of throws that back at him at the end after he actually takes this guy out, and everybody cheers. It's such a great line. He was like, the guy wakes up and he's like out of it, like what happened? And and Harry winds up leaving him with that line. Yeah, well, whatever works, fuckhead. It's just
when I finished the first draft, I gave it to an editor, and I think that joke was her favorite joke in the whole book. She loved that moment.
Yeah, it's just so great how it came back around. Where is it? I'm trying to find the spot where he actually says it, because I took notes on it. Yeah, it was WWF, whatever works, fuckhead, and then where is it? Oh yeah, he's like 12 seconds must have been some move you used, Harry. Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, whatever works, fuckhead. And then the crowd went out of their minds. Yeah, that was it. That was the line. I was trying to find the exact quote. And yeah, it was just brilliant. And didn't you tell a story on here once, Doug, about something you actually did where you used a guy's momentum against him on a bus or something? Someone was like, yeah. So that was sort of like something you incorporated into this, I'm guessing, like the idea of doing that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that whole scene with the guy in the bus, I won't get into the details of it now because it would take too long to describe, but yeah, that was probably not a bad example of a guy like me who is not a fighter, you know, but in that moment sort of just happened to choose the right things to do. And it all culminated with, like, when the fight started, the bus driver pulled over. And because this guy had been such an asshole the whole time on the trip, like, it was clear whose sympathies the bus driver was in line with. So when this guy got up and was just getting ready to come back at me, the bus driver just grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and threw him off the bus. You know, I don't know what would have happened if that hadn't happened. So, you know, there was an element of luck involved in that too, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me catch up with the chat here too. Just me said, yeah, all I can think of is young Doug when reading Harry. Steven said same. I read Harry in Doug's voice. Samuel said he sympathizes most with Harry or Olivia. And just me said Olivia, she's a firecracker. So yeah, she sure is. And she also has a vulnerability about her that also makes her so sympathetic. She's not just a pretty face. He exposes a deep vulnerability in her that he learns about her as he gets to know her. Amy also hears Doug's voice when reading it. Just me. And also, let me just read this. Samuel said, same. Harry looks and sounds like a young version of Doug. Yes to all of that. And just me had this question for Doug, kind of personal, but were any of the stories about Harry's father based on interactions with your own father? Too personal or no?
No, not at all. I don't mind talking about that at all. I mean, the book is, like I've said many times, a thinly veiled autobiography anyway. So no, I don't mind talking about this. I frankly don't remember the other mentions of my dad, but that story is verbatim something that happened. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. You know, I wish that were not the case. I wish you took liberties on that one and that was not a part of your actual experience.
Trust me, that was one of the milder stories. The other ones many of them were much more graphic. But yeah.
I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. And again, you know, you write about what you know, and it you know, putting that into the book, making it that personal, it makes Harry even more sympathetic. So, you know, so let's see, where did I leave off? Yeah, Samuel said Doug could beat up men twice his size back in the day, I guess. Yeah.
Well, that never happened. No. This guy on the bus was basically the same size and build as me. We were both kids. We were probably both about 20 at the time. And the only fight I've had since then, I've told this story on here before, was when I was working as a bouncer at that club here in Toronto, the Diamond. And this one guy took a swing at me one day, and I lost my shit and had to be pulled off the guy by a couple of the doormen. I had him up against the wall. And that was something. But that was very out of character.
Yeah.
The last time I actually got into a physical fight with somebody, and that was 40 years ago almost. So
yeah, this is not a common thing for you. I'm not surprised. Yeah. Steve said, I saw Doug rip a guy's throat out once. Indeed.
Oh, no. That's just some guy who looks a lot like me. That wasn't me.
That was not him. Nope.
Some nameless dude in a bad suit. Yeah.
Guy tried to beat him up with a tree and then threw his own daughter, and Doug was like, not on my watch, my guy, and threw his throat at an RV. Too soon? Yeah. Not Doug, but yeah, just his evil twin, I guess. Tabitha had a question. I'll highlight this. With Harry being an actor / playwright and an intelligence agent, in the framing, it seems, what conflicts do you see already emerging between those two identities?
Well, nothing's really happened in the book yet for those conflicts to develop, really. I mean, the closest we get to that is that, you know, Harry here at training, you know, he's just an actor until he gets here. So all of this stuff is brand new to him, and it's all kind of I mean, I'm sure that the most of the time he was there in training, he must have felt like a fish out of water, because this world was utterly unknown to him until he got there. But the kind of conflicts I think you're asking about, those will become more apparent later on in the book. And there are a couple of very specific ones that get talked about. So I will leave that until we get to those parts of the book.
Right. Oh, and Just Me said, I randomly saw Doug recently in another TV show. Oh, which
That was
one?
probably Wayward, I think.
Oh,
It's a very brief scene. Yeah, I wasn't even sure if I was still in it, because the cast list has been on IMDb for months, and my name wasn't there. And I couldn't figure out. The only reason I could figure out why this happened was the character, when I was sent the sides, was referred to as younger guy, and then they cast me. They decided they have to change the name, so I became Market Guy. So on the cast breakdown that IMDb got, there was probably this thing about younger guy, or I don't know. Anyway, but I was actually Market Guy on the cast list, and it didn't show up on Facebook. It's there on IMDb. It's there now, I think, but it wasn't. So I thought, oh, I guess I've been cut out of this thing, you know. But then somebody posted it on Instagram. Some fan found the scene and posted it on Instagram. Went, oh, I am in it. Oh, well, there you go.
That's right.
nice. Sometimes you don't know until it actually airs. That's the crazy thing about being an actor in these smaller roles. Episode 4, huh? Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out myself.
Doc says he wants to see my picture with the name Younger Guy. They've actually put it as Market Guy on IMDb, Doc. So I hate to disappoint you, but there you go.
Yeah, and younger is comparative. That's true. It's a relative.
But I don't think there were a lot of people younger than me there on that day. So
that's great. Oh, there was another part of the book that this section of the book that I wanted to bring up, because I loved how you wrote this. It's something I've always thought about too. When you see love scenes in the movies and TV, it's always so perfectly choreographed. It's like it's ridiculously easy, like in 2 seconds flat. You know, like it says lacy underthings sailing through the air in slow motion and such. Or it's artfully violent, shirts clawed open, buttons popping, zippers flying apart. Also, the two people making love always go from 0 to 60, as it were, in about 2 seconds flat. One moment they're sitting gazing into each other's eyes, and the next they're tearing into each other like a couple of rabid Rottweilers. And then he's
the word Rottweiler, Doug.
There you go.
Yeah. I love how you described it. It wasn't anything like that at all. It's so true to life and relatable. He's like, I'd like to report that our encounter went as smoothly as a cinematic love scene, that I was able to get out of my clothes as decorously as a Chippendales dancer, but that was not the case. And I did lose a button on my shirt, not because I was ripping it off my chest Clark Kent style, but because it got stuck on my belt buckle and popped off as I tried to tug my shirt out of my pants. And when Olivia, here's where it gets a little steamier, when Olivia pulled off her bra, she clocked me in the eye with her elbow. And I managed to get out of my pants without tumbling to the floor and dragging Olivia down with me, but only just, and only because she caught me as I was about to fall on my face. I mean, how relatable and funny is that? I just loved that scene. That was fantastic, because that's just how it really is. It's never that easy and perfectly, choreographed and all of that. It's just so relatable reading that. So highly entertaining. So
well, and again, that was an effort on my part to take one of those James Bond tropes and turn it on its head, because that would never happen in a James Bond movie, God knows,
Right, exactly, because those movies are also known for their slick romantic side, and there's always, you know, the Bond girls and the, you know, the romance factor. It's all so unrealistically perfect the way everything goes down.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love how you turned that trope around. Yeah. It's like it's a spy story, but made actually realistic and humorous in the process. So yeah, Steve, yeah, I'm so sorry about your mom. My God, no, again, our prayers are with you, our thoughts are with you, and we hope that you can that doctors can figure out what's going on and get the right treatment for her that will actually help her get better. Mm. Tabitha has another question. Do you think Harry is performing in his personal life the same way he does on stage? Performing, wink, wink.
Oh, well, that's a very large philosophical question that you could apply to any one of us, I suppose. Because there's an element of performance in every human interaction when you think about it. You know, the way the three of us are behaving here on camera as we're talking to everybody here, you know, like the way we relate to one another here is not the same way that we would if we were sitting in a bar on our own after 3 drinks each, you know, kind of thing. Like we're always performing to a greater or lesser extent when we're relating to other people. I had a fascinating observation last time I was in for one of my operations on my shoulders. They had me all hooked up to a heart monitor and stuff, as they do, you know, before you get put under. And I noticed something interesting. Every time somebody came into the room, my heart rate would go up about 10 beats a minute. 10 or 15 beats a minute. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't getting physically active. I wasn't, you know, fidgeting or moving around or anything. And I thought, why is this happening every time somebody comes in? I mean, it's not taking a lot of physical effort for me to talk to them or whatever. But I thought, no, this is just the mere fact of there being somebody else in the room, you know, that there's extra energy required in order to deal with somebody else when they're there. And you could describe that as a kind of performance, you know, and we all do it, you know.
That's so true. And we tend to have different faces that we put on in different situations and with different people.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like we might speak in different vernacular, even, you know, like with certain people, depending on who we're with, and take on a slightly different. I mean, we don't like change ourselves fundamentally, but just our behavior and, you know, the way that we act, depending on the norms of whatever situation we're in, it changes. So yeah, in a way, we are all performing at all times. So yeah, that's an interesting question, Tabitha. Yeah, and
I'll give you a perfect example of this from my own life. My first girlfriend, the very first time she came to my house for dinner with my family, you know, she was living down in the city. I was living up in the suburbs. So after dinner, I had to walk her to the bus so she could get back down to the city. And on the way there, I said, "So what did you think?" And she said, "You went through a complete character transformation when we walked in the door of your house. When you were like, I walked her from the bus to my place, and then, you know, there was my family." And she said, "You just became a completely different person." And I was utterly unaware of what she was talking about, you know. But it's like, oh yeah, that's my family. I have to relate to them like that, you know. So
yeah, absolutely. No, it and you might not even be aware of it exactly. Like you just kind of just automatically just slide into different roles in different situations in life.
sure, we all do that, you know. I mean, you don't talk to your pastor the same way you would talk to a drinking buddy, you know, like.
I was gonna say, I don't talk to my 5-year-olds the same way I talk to you guys.
There you go. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my God, Steve. I'm so sorry about your grandmother. You did an amazing job taking care of her. We know that well, in the community about how you've been her caretaker. And I'm so sorry. Our deepest condolences and sympathy and prayers for you in this difficult time. I'm so sorry. That's devastating. And you did an amazing job. And she was so lucky to have you as a grandson. Wow.
I'm sorry to hear you're going through all this, Stephen.
Yeah. Well, just there aren't any words to even express condolences for that kind of a loss. But our deepest condolences and prayers for you, Steve, right now, for you and your mom now too. And Steve has a question for you, Doug. Doug, do you have a favorite scene or a scene you're just particularly proud of?
Lots of them, to be honest. And many of them, of course, happen later in the book, so we don't want to talk about any of those right now. But in terms of the early part of the book, one of my favorite bits, one part I get a big kick out of every time I read it, is the scene where Harry first meets Pete in the bar in Saskatchewan when he's doing the school tour. The scene where he goes to the rescue of that young guy talking to the farmers at the bar. That I get a good giggle out of that scene every time I read it.
Yeah. It's hard to just nail down one scene in a book this long. I mean, in a book this long and enjoyable. I mean, I mean this section of Spy Boot Camp is one of my favorites. The entire thing, frankly, all of it. The brutal the brutal tests and training that he had to undergo, running around in sub-zero temperatures until he's ready to pass out while this Frenchman's yelling at him. And I mean, it's so enjoyable. It's so hard to just pick one favorite scene for me personally. And Steve, you are not interrupting at all. We're family here, and you can always feel free to share what you're going through, and we'll support you. We'll always be here to offer our support. Let's see. Yeah, and I think my favorite moment, if I had to pick one, is just the way that Harry finally figures out Olivia's tell. And it took months of knowing her and trying to read Olivia and try to figure out what her secret is. She said everyone has a secret that they're hiding. Everyone has something, and her final exam for him is to figure that out. What is this thing that he hasn't been able to read about her yet? And he figures it out. It finally clicks. Like, oh my God, it was there the whole time, and it was so simple. And was her brushing a strand of hair aside when she was like, she was interested in him, but she didn't want to admit it. She didn't want to acknowledge it, and she lied to him that there was a no fraternization policy with students. And when he finally figures it out, and he just breaks it all down to her and psychoanalyzes her and gives her beautiful motivational life advice, I think that was my favorite moment in this section of the book. What he leaves her with, I mean, after they have their torrid romantic scene and all of that, just the way that he leaves her with beautiful advice. This quote here, I know this isn't easy stuff to come to grips with. Battling the demons of our childhood never is. And even when you do feel you're ready to take that leap, finding the right guy to do it with isn't going to be a walk in the park. You're an extraordinary woman, Olivia. You deserve to be with someone just as extraordinary. And let's face it, people like that aren't easy to come by. It was a beautiful thing to leave her with, and telling her all the things she has going for her, what an amazing person she is, even after a screwed up childhood. I loved that. I loved that scene.
That quote actually comes from real life. I'm slightly
Really?
changed it, but yeah. I was in Toronto. This is when I was working at the Shaw Festival. There was a woman there our dialects coach, Etta, who I adored. We were very good friends. And well, I still adore her. She lives in England, so I don't get to see her much. But yeah, she's an amazing human being. And we were in Toronto one day on a day off, walking around downtown Toronto, and the subject of why is Doug still single came up in the midst of the conversation. And I was talking about, all the various theories I'd wrestled with over the years. And she said, look, it's very simple. I know why you're single. I said, why? She said, you're an extraordinary human being, and extraordinary human beings need to be with other extraordinary human beings, and they're really hard to find. And my response was, I think that's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me in my life. So yeah, it's a true story.
That is a beautiful thing.
The other way around, but
yeah, see that's a beautiful thing to say to another person, and that's something that would stick with you. So yeah, that's awesome how you took that as inspiration and used that in the book, and it really hit, it really hit hard, and it was just a beautiful moment. I loved that. We need more of that in the world, like encouraging other human beings, even if you're parting ways, like they couldn't be together, these two people in the book, but just to leave her with those beautiful parting words. Yeah, it was awesome. That's the kind of thing that would stick with a person, and you remember that and carry that with you.
There was another moment in that scene, very quick one that I love, and that is when they're in the midst of getting it on, and she's howling at the top of her lungs, and somebody knocks on the door, and she says, "Not now! This is a final exam, for Christ's sake!" I love that moment.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. One hell of a final exam.
Yeah, no kidding.
If only in real life it actually went down like that. I think people wouldn't dread them so much.
We put the comment, summa cum laude.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I can't resist a cheap play on words.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's the awesome thing about this book is that it can, it's not just comedic, it balances the humor with emotional weight. It has that emotional weight at the same time. It has sympathetic characters, and so that's so cool when you can juxtapose humor with emotional impact, and you do that so well. You can slide back and forth between those two sides beautifully. Yeah, Just Me said he aced that final exam too. Yes, he sure did.
Yeah,
he sure did. Yeah. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was sad to say goodbye to those characters that we met in that section. I was like, no, I need more of these people. But then the book takes a lot of interesting turns.
There will everything that happens early on the book, pretty much everything that happens early on in the book has repercussions much later on. And one of the big challenges of putting this story together was because of the two different timelines, figuring out where to put those changes, where is it appropriate to shift back to the past and then come back to the present day and all of that, and just constructing all of that. I mean, it's a 430-page book, so there's a lot of that, and just figuring out exactly where the best places were to do that was one of the most challenging aspects of writing it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you did a really effective job with those transitions and the different stages in this story, and also bouncing back and forth between the past and present, which in this section we were firmly in the past, but you frequently jump ahead to the part where Harry is in the present trying to get this autobiography approved to be published by CSIS, and and then we flash back to to his story, as it were, and it's great how you can go back and forth and and just take us along so seamlessly.
And one of the reasons I stopped on page 90 is because this is one of the transitions back to the present day that we're about to go into. So I didn't want to get into that, prematurely. I thought, oh, this is a good place to hit the pause button,
I think that's perfect. Yeah. And, and it gives people time to catch up and anybody who hasn't, had a chance to read it yet, you also have more time, to catch up with us. Doesn't take that long to get through. And apparently there's a way, Doc had mentioned in the last live where that there's an app. I can't remember the name of it now, but there's an app that can actually read PDFs to you. So if you don't have the time, we have busy lives. If you don't have the time to actually sit down and read the text, you can have, I've got to look up what this app is, or Doc, maybe you can Speechify. Thank you, Doc. So if you don't have the time to actually sit down and read it and you want to try to catch up with us, try Speechify. You can play it in the background while you're doing chores or whatever, or driving, and listen to it that way. Oh, Steve has a question.
Yeah,
sorry,
what? Does Speechify have a good French accent, though?
Oh.
Or a good Scottish accent?
Well, you want to know something, Scarlet? I actually started recording the book as an audiobook myself.
Ooh.
Just because I thought that might be a good way to distribute it to people. But oh my God. I mean, first off, you have to understand this thing I was shooting yesterday. I was talking to another actor who has done audiobooks, and we were both talking about how much work they are. Mm-hmm. It's really, really hard work, and it's exhausting. And this book is 430 freaking pages long. So it's a long, hard slog. And I didn't realize until I started recording it how many freaking characters there were in it. I had to come up with voices for. And I thought, oh, Jesus, this is just, and I got about 3 chapters in and I went, no, I'm done. I can't do this. So I gave up on it.
That would be
were you doing the lady voices as well, Doug?
Well, I have to. It's just me, Although I'll tell you a funny story. I did an audiobook, this book called The Psychic and the Scientist. And it's a nonfiction book. It's about this guy. It's an autobiography. This guy from Toronto who is a chemical engineer or some kind of scientist. And his mother in the 70s and 80s was a famous psychic here in Toronto. And she's still alive, apparently. She's in an old folks home now. But there's a scene where her mother was from the north of England, and there was a scene that involved her mother. And so when I read it, I had to do an old woman's voice with a North Country accent. And he read the book to his mother, or he played the audiobook for her in the old folks home. And they got to that scene, and she heard me doing her mother's voice, and she said, "Ooh, he sounds just like Mom."
Nice. Not surprised. Doc said it. Yeah, it doesn't have the same flavor as reading it and imagining Doug's voice, though. And yeah, the text to speech voices are not fantastic. But if you need a way to fit this in and you don't have the time to read the text, then give it a shot. Steve has a question for you, Doug. Do you write both the past and present timelines completely separate and then try and fit pieces together where they fit best? Or do you write them both out linearly as the reader would experience it?
A little bit of both, actually. It's funny. When my writing partner and I write a play, we structure the story within an inch of its life. I mean, by the time we sit down to write dialogue, we've already usually figured out the plot in tremendous granular detail before we start, actually writing scenes. And so when I decided to write a novel, I sort of thought I would end up doing the same thing, but I didn't. I had kind of a general story arc in place. I knew the basic structure that it was going to be taking place in 2 different time periods, and I knew what the end of the story was going to be. But it was much more loosely structured when I started writing. than any of our plays have been. And actually, that was true of both of the books, because there's a sequel to this that I've also written. And I would say that that applies to the second book as well, which also takes place in 2 different time periods. But to tell you the truth, it's kind of hard for me to remember exactly how that all went. I do know that there were times when I took, I sort of made the division between the present day and the past tense in one area of the book, and then decided to move it to a slightly different place. That happened a few times. But by and large, I wrote the story pretty much linearly from the beginning to the end, with a few changes along the way. That's probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah. Okay. Also, Tabitha had said, the voice feels both witty and melancholy at times. Was that balance something you worked on a lot, or did it come naturally with Harry's character?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, Tabitha, because I was just thinking about this when Julie was talking about how it sort of slides from emotional weight to humor. And most of the people I know who are very funny or who use humor as one of their main modes of communication have usually learned to do that because it was a survival tool, you know. It was something that, for one reason or another, worked for them. Like, I grew up in a household where there was a lot of strife. And I think I learned at a fairly early age that humor was a really effective weapon at taking down the temperature when things got tense. And I think that's true of a lot of comedians, that they have learned humor to deal with trauma. You know, it's a very useful tool for that. And so that sort of sliding from the one to the other, I think, yeah, by and large, just kind of comes naturally.
That's so true. I mean, how many comedians have we known, you know, famous comedians who are actually tortured souls, who have an enormous amount of trauma that they've dealt with in their lives, and demons. Robin Williams comes to mind, you know. So absolutely. Steve had said, I've been reading the book in the voice of one Doug's gorilla characters from Far Cry 6.
Hijo de la gran puta.
That's great.
I'm gonna have to watch Rewatch so I can do it on the voice of Market Guy.
Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Market Guy is just basically me. I didn't put on a voice for that one. That's just.
You just put on a Scottish accent.
Yeah. Yes, Tabitha. It has that back and forth. We're hiding behind humor when we have something that is deep down hard. Absolutely.
I think of it in slightly different terms. I don't think of it in terms of hiding behind humor as using humor as a means to deliver the message, you know?
Right. It's also a therapeutic tool too. I mean, humor is therapy. It really is to deal with our trauma and pain in our lives. So absolutely, I agree with that. Steve said, "Thank you, Doug. That made my day." Laughing. That's awesome.
This reminds me of a funny story. Back when I was quite young, early on in my career, we did a production of a Tennessee Williams play here in Toronto called Camino Real. And in it, I was playing basically this kind of Sandinista type security guard guy. And I had to ad lib a bunch of stuff in Spanish. This other guy and I were playing these two kind of Sandinista type guys with guns who were like herding people around and screaming obscenities at them. And my day job at the time, I was working in a jewelry store, and there was a woman there who grew up somewhere in the Caribbean, but Spanish was her mother tongue. And she went to school in a convent, like, you know, her teachers were all nuns and stuff like that. So she was very straight-laced. But she was the only person I knew who knew any Spanish. So I had to go up to her and ask her, how do I say all these really gross things in Spanish? And she was great. I mean, she was very accommodating. She taught me everything, but like she was clearly very embarrassed and like giggling a lot. And, you know, and then I would do it and she would just pee her pants laughing. The whole time you could see her looking over her shoulder like she was expecting God to like hurl a thunderbolt at her or something.
Later, yeah.
That's too funny. Amy put a question in here that I don't know if this happened yet in this section. I think she might have jumped ahead.
Yet. That's later on in the book.
Yeah.
And well, you know what, Amy, we should probably save the answer to that until we get to that part of the book. And speaking of parts of the book, I was looking at the book today and trying to figure out where the next place to stop would be. And I think page 50 would be a good choice for our next discussion. Page 150, pardon me.
I was going to say we're retrograding.
Yeah. I'm just going to double check on here.
Revisit page 50.
Yes.
Hang on. I'm just paging through here to 150.
It's okay, Amy.
Right near the bottom of the page, if memory serves me right.
Amy, no worries. It's not that big a deal. No problem.
No, not a big deal at all. Don't worry about it. I just think we should save it though until then, because people are just the answer is not going to mean anything to them at this point. Yeah, it's right near the bottom of page 150. There's a set of asterisks, and I think that'll be a good spot to stop because again, it's another coda that we come to.
Yeah. Okay. Page 150, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll set that as the next stopping point for the next live.
And Amy, notes, class, because this will all be on the exam.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the last part of the exam?
Oh yeah. What kind of final exam is this gonna be? Oh man. If only real final exams were that enjoyable. My God. But yeah, I think Amy, that's another one that's past where we were at about life on the road, because I don't think this section had that in it. Like, nah.
No, but that's probably a question I can answer without really giving anything away anyway.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the beginning of this, Julie was talking about how, you know, a lot of this is drawn from my own experience as a young actor and all that. And yeah, well, you know, the section that you're about to get into, Harry's going to, and this gets mentioned earlier in the book, that he's going off to do this tour out in Alberta. So the next section you're about to read, we go to Calgary back in early 1991, and he's starting this tour there. And there's a whole bunch of stuff once he goes on the road about what it's like to be doing a school tour as a young actor. So don't worry, you'll get lots of information about that when we get to it. And that certainly comes straight from my own life. I mean, when I started my career, I did a number of school tours. And so I got to live that life like in great detail, and can talk about it with some measure of authority. But that's where all that stuff comes from. And, you know, as I've talked about before, one of the reasons for writing this book was finding an excuse to tell stories about some of the crazy shit that's happened in my acting career. A lot of which, of course, happened on those school tours when I was a kid. And this was just kind of the perfect vehicle to do it, you know?
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. You know, it's Doug's autobiography cloaked in a spy novel. So yeah, you get to experience that, you know, get a taste of what it was like, you know, life on the road as a young theater actor and all that goes into it. So yeah, that'll be coming up in you know, later sections of the book. You'll get a lot more. I won't give anything away, of course, but you know, you'll learn a lot more about what that was like, and it'll get more into, I think, parts of Doug's life that actually happened. You know, obviously he never went to a spy training camp, but as this progresses and we transition out of that section of the book, yeah, you'll get a get a nice window into what that was like, what it's like to be a young actor traveling Canada, and what it was like for Doug specifically. So so I think everybody who comes to these lives and enjoys hearing Doug's stories will just really enjoy the upcoming sections of the book for the same exact reason. So yeah, we'll definitely as soon as Doug is available and things aren't melting down around here as I get ready to move, we'll schedule the next one, because I'm in the middle of a long distance move at the moment, and things are pretty crazy, but I want to resume regular lives at the same time. And so apart from the week when I'm actually moving, I'll still be able to do lives like this.
Well, I was just going to say, if you're available next week,
yeah,
that I don't have anything on for next week at all. So like, if you want to do maybe next Wednesday, I couldn't do Wednesday this week because of work, but if you want to do it next Wednesday, I'm available for that, as far as I know, unless something completely unexpected comes along.
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, unless some calamity happens for me as well. But as far as I know, yeah, that'll be fine. We can do that next Wednesday.
And I know, because of the move and everything, things may transpire that like you have to postpone it, but we could certainly aim for that, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I would love to do that. And so we'll plan on next Wednesday at the same time. Will the same time work for you? 10 p.m. Eastern,
Yeah,
Doug?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, can do that.
I'm going to have to bail shortly, but before I do, if anybody has any last questions before I go, please feel free to throw them at me.
Yeah, last call for questions or comments before we head out. And the next one will be on pages 91 through 150. But anyone who hasn't quite caught up, you can always feel free to throw questions and comments about the previous sections of the book, of course.
Totally.
Yeah, and you can email me if you need a copy. If anyone out there is watching the replay and hasn't gotten a copy yet, then you can email me at JulieBDeepDives@gmail.com and get a free PDF, courtesy of Doug being so kind to provide that to us to enjoy and talk about with him. And these lives will continue to be call-ins. So I would encourage people to call in next time. We would love to hear from you on the panel. Or if not, we're happy to get your questions and comments in the chat too. Tabitha says, "We love you, Doug," all caps. And Just Me says, "Thank you, Doug, for your time."
You're very welcome, Just You. It's my pleasure.
Samuel says, "Do you think having a secret garden can be a harmful thing?" What is that about?
Having never seen The Secret Garden, I have no idea what that question means.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I watched that as a kid. It was a great movie. Tabitha said, "I got too far ahead. Sorry, Doug, truly, with my questions." So no worries.
Not to worry. I mean, we didn't really get into spoiler territory with anything. I'm just talking about stuff in generalities, so it's no biggie.
Yeah, it's all good. We're glad that you're that enthusiastic that you had the time to read that far ahead. That's great. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody who's joined and asked questions and offered your comments and just hung out with us here. We're really grateful for that, and happy to answer all your questions. But yeah, we'd love it if somebody would call in next time too. Because I will keep pinning that link to the top of the chat so people can hop on and actually have your voice heard. Doug would love to hear from you. Speaking,
it is. I got to tell you, it's really nice to be able to hear people's voices. For those of you who are maybe toying with the idea, it's great. It's great just being able to chat in real time with folks. So don't be shy.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome, and we're all friends here. It's a safe space, so you don't have to be scared to do it. Easier said than done. I know. I've been afraid to do that kind of stuff in the past. I totally understand it. Steve said, I was told there was a copy available where Scarlet acts out the book through interpretive dance. Is that still available? I'm sure Scarlet would be happy to oblige.
I'd pay to see that.
She said she had to run and get her charger, but I'm sure she would be laughing at that if she heard that. So just imagine her laughing, because I'm sure she will when she sees the replay. Tabitha says, love, love, love. Thanks for sharing your beautiful mind with us, Doug.
Anytime.
Amy says, it has been awesome to see you, Doug. I enjoyed seeing you here on the live again.
Well, it's been really, really great to be here too. I love doing these. It's lots and lots of fun, and it's nice to have people I can talk to about this book, because so few people have read it. And just to revisit it has been a great joy. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome, and we appreciate that you wanted to do this and share this awesome book with us. I've thoroughly enjoyed reading it, and so Tabitha says she'll call in next time. Yay!
Cool.
Well, we'll look forward to it. That's great.
Just out of curiosity, Julie, whereabouts are you in the book right now?
I am still halfway through, roughly. So I'm still 200 pages in. So
Okay.
This is gonna help me. This is gonna help me finally get through. I just haven't set enough time aside to do anything other than obsess over it. What was that?
I said you've had a few things going on, so yeah, it's cool. I was just curious. I mean,
Yeah. So because what I've been doing now, because of these lives, is instead of reading ahead further into it, I've been rereading so that it's really fresh.
That's exactly
so I've been
what
doing
I
that.
do. Because I mean, I wrote this thing a while ago, so
Yeah, exactly. So, Steve said, thank you all so much. This was much needed, and you've all made me laugh and smile on a day when it was much needed. Love and miss you all, and I'll call in next time if I can. Well, you're so welcome, and we're just happy to help however we can and support you, Steve. You're an amazing human being. Well, I've missed you guys too. Just me said I've missed these lives as well. Steve said miss you guys. We've missed you too, and it's my fault. I've had a lot of changes going on in my life, positive changes, but it's taken up a lot of time and attention, and as things settle down, I will be back on here much more regularly. I promise. I'm not going anywhere, and hopefully Doug is not going anywhere either anytime soon, because we love having Doug here.
I know I'm not aware of going anywhere for any length of time. I mean, the biggest thing that would probably get in my way was if I landed a theater gig, but I don't have any of that stuff on the horizon. So,
Yeah. And for me, I'm going to be moving, halfway across the country, like in 10 days. So it's pretty hectic, but this is a nice way to spend some downtime. And I'm really glad to be back, and I've missed this community, and I'll always want to be here and keep coming back and hanging out with this awesome group of people. So who's this? Oh, okay. Doc was recommending another Lady Shasha's stream. Yeah, I've heard that's awesome. So people should check Lady Shasha's stream out. It's a nice welcoming space. Anyway, I know you probably need to hit the hey, Doug.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here. But it's been fun. Yeah. I'm so glad we finally got to get this done, and looking forward to the next one too, because there's some interesting stuff coming up in the book. So
awesome. Well, we're looking forward to the next one too. Thank you again for being here. And yeah, we'll plan on next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, barring anything crazy coming up for either of us. And we'll keep everybody posted early
Sounds
next
good.
week.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Doug.
Good night, Doug.
Sweet dreams.
So here's a link to tomorrow's movie night on Lady Shasha's stream that Doc shared. So they're going to be watching a movie over there before From Academy. We are bringing From Academy back this week too. I've heard some folks have missed it, and I've missed doing it too. So I'm gonna set aside time for that. I'm not gonna lie, I may have to be doing some things in the background, like packing.
Packing things in boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm days, and that's quick.
10 days to pack up everything I own, and I am a pack rat. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot. Literally a lot of stuff. But we're gonna do From Academy, and I'm gonna let Doc take the reins even more than usual, and I'll still be here, but I'm gonna be putting things in boxes for sure in the background. Doc had said good night, Doug. Amy said good night, Doug. And Kelly. Trace is still here. Hey, Trace. Boo is doing great. Yes, of course. I would never leave Boo behind. Boo is coming.
Release Boo into the wilds.
Yeah, no. I never leave Boo behind.
You go now, born free.
She came off the street originally, and I'm just gonna toss her back on the street. Never. No way. No. Boo and I are a package deal.
Is she okay in the car on car rides?
No, I mean she's not. It's gonna be fun. It's 20.
So she yells the whole time.
Yeah, she might. She's mellowed out a bit with age, so she's not as crazy as she used to be. But she used to be loud, and the day that I brought her home, I thought she was trying to kill us both. I thought she was a demon cat, because I didn't have a cat carrier when I picked her up. This lady put her on Craigslist on the free stuff page, and I was like, what the hell? This is a cat, not stuff. And the lady said she was going to take her to the pound if nobody wanted her. So I didn't want that to happen. I didn't feel like I was ready to adopt a cat, but I went over there, and the lady stuffed her into a Build-A-Bear box, which is all she had.
At least she gave you a box, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't have a cat.
Handing the cat to you.
Yeah. She said, like, I've got to do this because it was too hard to catch her the first time around outside, and she'll fight like hell to get away if you try to carry her to the car. So she stuffed her into a Build-A-Bear box. I carried her out to the car, but I felt bad because she was too big for this little box, so I let her out of the box. I let her out of the box, and I thought she was trying to kill us both. She was like on my head, on the back of the headrest. Like, then she was on top of the dashboard, and she went right up, like blocking my view above the steering wheel. And I'm like, we're gonna die. I'm trying to save this cat's life, and we're both gonna die. It was nuts. And that was just a 10-minute drive. The drive to Iowa is at least 21 hours plus detours. That's a long drive, of course, broken up by a couple of motel stays to make it easier, but that's a really long drive. So, and we're gonna have a whole caravan of creatures. The current plan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't you have like 5 pets?
Yeah. My mom's coming too with her whole brood. It's a whole menagerie of creatures. So she's got 2 cats and a dog. I've got a cat. So We're talking
Okay. That's also what I thought it was.
3 cats and a chihuahua, though, all packed in
Oh,
an
yeah.
SUV. All
Uh-huh.
packed in an SUV with 3 people. That's a lot. So she bought these really large, extra large cat carriers to have them in so that they can be comfortable and have enough room to sit up and stuff.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
she'll have like a litter box at the back of the SUV for them to get out and use it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Gonna be pretty crazy though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be an experience for sure. And of course the motels will have to take pets.
Mhm.
Good night, Tabitha. Glad you could make it. Build a boo. Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, build a boo. That's right. Oh, we love you too, Tabitha. So glad that you were able to join us tonight. Yeah, Steve said, I imagine Boo is a terrible driver. Indeed, yes. Yeah, and she's this, it was October when I got her, and she's mostly black with orange flecks all over her because she's a tortoiseshell calico. And, when she was trying to like get in my way, so I couldn't even see driving her home that first day, I was like, she's a demon cat. She's like a freaking demon cat trying to kill us both. I swear to God. But she just was scared. She was just scared and didn't know what was going on. Does she have her paw license? Well, I don't think so, Amy. Steve Samuel said we got our cat from a house with a sign saying free kittens. Oh, geez. Yeah. People should be more careful with who they give animals out to. You never know who you're giving this live creature to. It could be, you got to vet them a little bit, talk to them. Like I could have been anybody picking her up, and like I would highly recommend against anybody just giving away their pet without being more careful and vetting them.
That's why they have cat rescues, because cat rescues say, to go through them, because they have like a screening process instead of just saying free or saying it's cost something, because that would at least, like, saying $5 would at least get some people out of the fray.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're going to give it to them for free.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea, because there are a lot of sick people out there, and you got to be careful who you're giving this live creature to.
Well, the two cats that my boyfriend had were like the neighbor that came next door and said she was going to release them into the wild and not even take them to, a shelter.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's terrible.
Cats I've ever run into my entire life. I feel bad that they were just released into the wild.
That's awful. Oh my God. Yeah. A lot of times people treat their pets as like objects just to be discarded, and that's terrible.
Like a lot of people during COVID that got pets, and then as soon as COVID ended, they were like, "Oh, I don't want this pet anymore."
Yeah, it's messed up. That is messed up. Steve said, anyone else imagining a box with 4 legs and a head sticking out? Pretty much. Pretty much. Her head was kind of sticking out the top of the box because she didn't quite fit in there. Yeah. Trace, pit stop in Chicago. Actually, that is something that we've talked about because Chicago is a short detour on the route. So maybe I recently just had an airport pit stop in Chicago. It was the first time I had ever been there, but unfortunately I didn't have a chance to actually go anywhere other than the airport. But it was a nice airport. It was a nice airport. I got a little like zipper pouch with roses all over it that says Chicago in pretty letters all over it, just to, like to have a tiny souvenir of my tiny hour in Chicago. Doc said
you're going through Ohio and Indiana. Illinois. Not Michigan.
I think
not Michigan.
Yeah, I don't think Michigan. We haven't decided on a route yet for sure. There are a couple different ways to go. one of them actually has Niagara Falls as a short detour, which I don't really understand. I don't understand how that's possible when it's Rhode Island to Iowa. How is Niagara Falls a short detour? But there's some route. There's some route that has that as a short detour. The U.S. side of it. I don't have a passport, unfortunately, so I can't go over the border and go to the goods. The best view of Niagara Falls is from Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. It is the good side in Canada. That's how you get closest to it, right? So
anything happens here, I'm going to Doug Hughes' place. I'm like I'm an hour and a half away from Canada. Let's go.
Yeah, you're lucky. Oh my God. I wish I could. I wish I were that close to the border and I could just go over to Canada and visit. I eventually, I really do want to get my passport.
We used to go to clubs in Canada. Like me and my friends used to go across the border, go to the clubs and win. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, I bet. I've never been, and eventually I do want to get my passport and finally visit and go to Quebec and see how much of my French I can dredge up that I still haven't in my memory bank somewhere. Roll through, said Trace. When Trace was asking Doc what happened to streaming, and Doc is still gonna. If you're talking about Doc's stream with Critter, they're still gonna be doing that. I think they rescheduled it to October 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Let us know in the chat, Doc, about that. But I think, okay. He said my laptop couldn't handle it. We're trying to figure out if Critter can host the stream and handle the technical stuff. He has his son this week, so maybe next weekend. If not, I will hopefully I will have one of my PCs running again soon. Well, best of luck, my friend. I hope you can get it going soon. And we're here to support you whenever it is you do manage to make it happen. So we'll tag everybody. We'll get the word out as much as we can. And yeah, I'm really happy for you guys. I'm sure that's going to be an entertaining show when you do get it done. And I would encourage everybody to subscribe to Doc's channel. The first stream that he does with Critter is going to be on his channel. So that's the Doc Kaiju Labs channel. And Doc, drop your channel link in the chat. And he's asking if anyone has a channel he didn't plug. How about your own? He's been so awesome dropping other people's links tonight. Drop your own link in the chat. You're never one for self-promotion, but please self-promote. And then drop your new link for people to subscribe to the Doc and Critter show. I know it's the Kaiju and Critter show. Because we got to get them enough subs so that they can start streaming on that channel. I think you have to have 50 subs to stream. So let's try and get those subs up for them, please. Anybody watching right now? So yes, here's Doc's channel. Shameless plug, join my channel or else. There it is.
Yes.
And then if you'd like, and then if you'd like, drop your link to the Kaiju and Critter show channel so that we can help you get your subs up, and then you guys can start streaming. If that's still the plan, start streaming from that channel too. Here it is, the Kaiju and Critter show. So there we go. So let's support our friend Doc. And subscribe to both of those channels and help get them over that threshold so they can start streaming over there. And their first stream is going to be on what is it? Shin Godzilla? That's it, right? Yeah. Shin Godzilla is going to be the topic of their first stream. I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, let's throw our friends some support there. And we're looking forward to getting back into FROMACADEMY on Friday night with me multitasking, packing at the same time. And I believe we're going to be finishing the Martin theme that we still didn't quite finish the last time. There's a lot. Who would have thought there'd be so much we can delve into just on Martin, a character we only saw a couple of times on From, but he's one of the most talked about and interesting mysteries in the show, I think. you know, he really makes an impact with his short amount of screen time. And so I think we're going to be finishing that. So Doc, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're going to be finishing the Mystery of Martin theme Friday night at 12:30 a.m. Actually, I think it's going to be 1 a.m. for Doc because of his new work hours. So, yeah, we'll get started at 1 a.m. whenever Doc is available. I'll use whatever time I got to, continue with the moving preparations, and we'll probably start it. Maybe we'll kick it off. Oh, okay, he can do 12:30. All right. So never mind. We'll do 12:30 a.m. Friday night, and yeah, we'll finish up with the Martin theme, and you can bring all your theories on Martin, and we can discuss. Which is always a fun topic, and looking forward to that. Yeah. That it's been I think 7 weeks since we've done a FROMACADEMY. It's a long hiatus, so it'll be fun to get back into it, even though admittedly I won't be able to 100% be fully focused, but I can multitask. I just want to get it back going again. And Samuel said Martin implied it wasn't the nightmare creatures who were working on him. Yeah, that there was some other force. That's right. Something else going on. It's like that they're just the tip of the spear. So what else is going on? That's why Martin was so impactful, because with that one statement, he just changed the whole game. Like, okay, then who's holding the spear? It's not just the monsters. Like, what is going on? That's the first indication we had that there was a really larger threat controlling the monsters. So yeah, complete game changer. We had summer vacation. Yeah, we really did. And me, quite literally. I was on vacation for 6 weeks. I've never been on a vacation for longer than a few days in my entire life. So that was a new experience for me, and I had a lot of fun. I had an amazing time, and I had such a great time that I kept extending it. I was only supposed to be gone about 10 days, I think, originally, and I kept pushing the flight back. And then I actually missed a couple flights. Yeah, it was kind of a shit show. I missed my flight 2 days in a row, getting back. And so then I extended it. I was like, after I missed it the second time, I was like, okay, screw this. I'm going to at least take advantage of the fact that I missed the flight again, and I have to now, pay a higher flight price to reschedule with short notice.
I was hoping that you didn't have to do that. I was hoping that you got a deal where you didn't have to do that. That just replaced your ticket.
Nope. I had to pay $120 more for my ticket back. So I was like, I'm going to take advantage of this and get another week out of this trip then, and just stay here. So I did. I just stayed longer. I didn't have to pay for a hotel or anything. So I was like, all right, why not just stay longer? And it was worth it. It wound up being worth it. I had some amazing experiences that wouldn't have happened if not for those huge mishaps, missing those flights. So sometimes things going wrong can be a blessing in disguise. Because I really had that last week, there were some amazing times, and so yeah, it wound up being totally worth it in the end. But it's not fun missing a flight twice. The second time because of TSA holding me up. It was just it was a nightmare.
I missed one because me and my boyfriend were going to go see his parents in Pennsylvania, and it was Thanksgiving. I didn't realize how long it would take us to take a shuttle from his car in the parking lot to the airport, and we ended up like 45 minutes late because the traffic was so bad.
Wow. Yeah.
We just ran up and we were going to check our baggage, and then like, oh, that stopped 5 minutes ago. I'm like, really? You can't let us on the plane? It's been 5 minutes. No, you can't. We can't let you on the plane.
Oh, they wouldn't let me on my plane, even though it was still sitting right there.
Yeah,
and
same.
Yeah, I thought I thought I had just made it. I rushed. I got through TSA after they held me up over. I had portable heating pads in my carry-on for my pain condition.
Oh yeah.
And the heating pads have sand in them, which triggers their scanner. They think it could be some kind of explosive material. So I was prepared. I expected that to happen. It happened when I flew out the first time. And I just didn't think it would take this long. And the second time around, it was a TSA agent training a guy, which made it take way longer.
Great.
And I heard them paging me, calling my name, because if you don't show up for your flight, they actually page you at the airport. I didn't realize they did that. They paged me, and I said to the TSA agent, "That's me." They're calling, and he's like, "Oh, we have our procedures, ma'am." So that was that. But the real thing that pissed me off the most was when I finally got down to the plane. It was sitting right there, but they wouldn't let me on because you can't. You have to be on there at least 10 minutes before the scheduled takeoff time, even though they sit there on the runway for such a long time before taking off anyway. But they were sitting there anyway, but they wouldn't board me, so I had to reschedule it. But again, it wound up being worth it. The last time I allowed enough time, but I still had a nightmare experience with TSA again.
Yeah. See, me and my boyfriend, we just found out what a cool city Toledo was because we were like, screw it, we'll just stay over in Toledo for Thanksgiving weekend. And they had a zoo with a really good like light show, like Christmas lights, and a really good art and glass museum.
Oh, cool.
So we had a good time. And now we just do it. It's almost like a tradition. If he has time off, we just go to Toledo for Thanksgiving because it's open on Thanksgiving. The zoo is.
Right.
And nothing else is. So we go there, we spend the night, and we go to the museum or go to, this Victorian house that has a really nice garden around it and do that.
Yeah, and see, like, it sounds cliche, but when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. That's what you should do. If something goes wrong, I always try to get something positive out of it. See what I can do. Like, what can I do because of this happening that I couldn't have done otherwise? What positive thing can I get from this experience? And so in this case, I just gave myself another week out there and lots of like amazing experiences and just just more relaxing time there. And so it wound up being worth it in the end. It was worth all of the hassle and the extra expense. Steve said, "Why am I imagining Julie running on a beach with Danny Zuko singing Summer Lovin'?" Oh my God, that's hilarious. Oh, come to think of it, it really, that's not that far off actually, but just not me running. Because I can't run, unfortunately.
And then the chorus of people behind you going, "Tell me more, tell me more."
Yeah. That's one of my favorite movies too, and live theater musicals. But yeah, I wish I could run. Unfortunately, I'll walk on the beach. I can do that again if it's flat enough. I've discovered I can actually tolerate doing that again. Samuel said I brought a frozen water bottle once. TSA wasn't happy. Oh yeah, I bet. God, yeah. They have their regulations. I had something really bizarre happen to me with TSA the last time. This time I thought I did everything right and there weren't going to be any issues. This time I took my portable heating pads and I put them in a brown paper bag instead of my carry-on to make it easier and expedite things. So that way they wouldn't have to root through my whole carry-on. And so I just put that through the scanner along with my carry-ons, and I went through the body scanner. And the next thing I know, this lady TSA agent was like saying they basically like she's gonna feel me up in an extremely invasive way. Great. I was like, yeah, it was really bizarre. And like she showed me this picture on a scanner with my, well, I mean, I can't, why mince words? My crotch was lit up on the scanner. My crotch was lit up.
Lord.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't understand what that is. I have no idea why that's lit up. Yeah. And she said, it's probably, she says probably the blouse you're wearing. I was wearing a blouse with 3 tiers of fabric that was long enough to go down over my crotch area. And she said for some reason, maybe that blouse set it off because there were extra layers of fabric hanging over my, I don't understand. Like that makes no sense to me at all.
Mm-mm.
She's like, do you want to go into a private room or do it right here? That's what she said. That's what she said. And I said, a private room. And then she's like, oh, okay, well, I'll have to call someone. So
they like, do me right here, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. So I said, forget it. We'll just do it right here. Because I didn't want to wait any longer than necessary. I just wanted to not miss my flight this time. And so, yeah, she's like, she felt me up,
rustling around in there.
Yeah, she felt me up in an extremely invasive, humiliating way that made me feel violated, front and back, and on top of it, she made me take off my shoes, put the shoes. Now, I've had to take off my shoes once before, oddly enough, when I was in like 5th grade at the airport. I have no idea why, but it wasn't like this. But they took off my shoes and then they put the shoes through the scanner behind a long line of other people's stuff. So then after she was done with me, I had to go stand with the TSA agents rifling through my heating pads with no shoes on for a really long time. And I finally said to the guy, like, where are my shoes? I'm in too much pain to stand here without shoes on. I have a pain condition. That's why I have these heating pads in the first place. And the guy's like, oh, well, you can go look for your shoes. Oh, gee, thanks. He also wouldn't allow me to answer the ringing phone laying in the bucket in front of him either. I wasn't allowed. I was treated like a criminal. Like, I'm not allowed to take my phone until he finally, after a few calls, gave me permission to take my phone. Yeah, and they're like, you can't reach into the because they treat you like you might have an explosive device. You can't reach into the bucket to get any of your stuff, even your phone. They can't.
Well, definitely phone, because you could trigger something with a phone.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but eventually they finally let me have the phone. Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, I've had if anybody's gonna fill me up, I'm like, do it right here, because I don't want them to take me to a private room. I want people to see what's going on.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. That's a good point.
I've never had anything that invasive, but I've had people go through my things. I've had, anytime I wear a trench coat don't wear a trench coat into an airport. I'm just going to tell you, because then you're just taken to the side, you know?
Oh, God.
And lucky for me, they caught me early enough, because I come there early enough that I actually was the first person to get on the plane once I was done. And that was kind of nice, but not for the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't wear a trench coat, and don't wear a top with a bunch of layers of fabric, or a dress with
don't wear
layers.
a bra with underwire in it, I've been told.
Wow.
That can make things go off. I don't know if it makes the full body scan go off anymore, but it used to.
That's a lot of women.
Go through those body scan things? Do you walk to the body scan?
Yeah. Yeah, I had to do that.
Body? Okay.
Yeah. Had to do the body scan. Yeah, well, a lot of women wear those. Wow. Amy, yeah, I don't know. I don't think she was into me.
It's hard in my cups. It's hard in my cup size. Make a lesbian friend. Yeah, you can't find them with my cup size. It's hard to find. It's hard to find ones without underwires too. So I just found one without an underwire in case I had to get on a plane. And it's uncomfortable, but
yeah.
What can you do?
Doc said maybe Julie just has a magical beaver. Oh my God. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It was lighting up.
That's what I'm saying. I thought you had radiation or something going on.
I don't know. It was lighting
Something
up.
supernatural happening down below.
It was all glowing on the screen. Steve said, damn, she didn't even buy you dinner first. Front and back. You normally have to pay extra for that. Yeah. It was, no, she didn't buy me dinner or anything. No, it was very invasive and violating. Um, Doc said people tend to think I'm straight, so if my crotch close at the scanner, maybe I can get hassled by a hot TSA agent. Do I have to tip him after? Yeah, depending on the individual, you might enjoy it, but I wasn't having a good time. They do, keep it same sex, but like, so if you're a female, they'll have the female TSA agent fill you up. If you're a guy, it'll be a guy. But that doesn't account for people who are attracted to the same sex. Like that, that could still feel really violating if I were, attracted to women. You know what I mean? Like, so it still feels violating.
It can be violating no matter whose hand is down there if it's a stranger's.
Exactly.
I at least wore gloves, man. Get a barrier going on there.
Yeah, she had gloves on.
Hands.
Yeah, she had gloves on at least. Steve said, "Don't wear a Swedish penis pump through one of those either." Oh my God, I don't even know what that is, Steve.
Like an Austin Powers joke.
I'm gonna have to Google it. I've Googled some strange things thanks to people in this chat and my innocence before. Some things I wish I hadn't.
You haven't seen any of the Austin Powers films? Because that's where
No.
that kind of thing comes from.
Oh, okay. It's not my bag, baby, I swear. Is that a line from one of them?
Yeah, because there's a Swedish penis enlarger.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I gotta watch.
Because I started out with fembots. With Doug, so that kind of makes fun. That's kind of bookending this thing with Austin Powers things. Because there's fembots in Austin Powers. They tried to attack him, but they're like seductive bots. Seducing bots. Okay.
I've got to watch the Austin Powers movies. They're on my list.
Like pink baby dolls with like big like hair, big 60s hair.
Mm-hmm.
And they have guns in their tatas.
That's awesome.
So these like tips come out of their tatas, and they, you can imagine.
Yeah, I can picture it. It light up like Christmas. Yeah, it was very festive looking. It was a festive crotch on the screen there. Sparkly. It was very weird. Magical Beaver found my new avatar. I called it first. Steve. What if you're trans? Yeah, I don't know. That it gets all kinds of complicated there. You feel violated no matter who's filling you up, but it definitely, for me, it would have been even worse if it were a man, personally, because I'm attracted to men, but
well, not only that, but the patriarchy, like a guy could take of you, whereas a woman, I mean, even if she's a lesbian, she probably won't cop too much of a feel, hopefully.
Right. Like men could be taking advantage of you and preying on you and doing it, because they're enjoying it, or they could be enjoying it even though it's their job to do it, so that's why I would be more uncomfortable with it, with like a straight man doing it. I mean, Julie, do not Google that. Yeah, I won't this time. I was real sorry with the night I Googled blue waffles thanks to someone in this chat.
Peter?
Probably. I had never heard of.
I'm not supposed to type magical beaver into Google.
I think he means penis pump, Swedish penis pump.
Oh, I thought they meant
Yeah.
magical beaver, like a beaver that did card tricks or something, like magical beaver.
Yeah, no. No,
Beaver
that
with
would
a
be
wand.
beaver with a wand. I think that one would be safe to Google, but yeah, the people warned me, don't Google blue waffles. Don't Google it. But I had to. I mean, I couldn't help myself when the curiosity with everyone making such a big deal out of it, and I wasn't in on the joke, so I did it. I did kind of regret it. I gotta admit, yeah, nobody wants to see that. Don't Google it if you've never seen that. Just don't. Yeah, don't do it. Amy, one book titled Austin Powers Penis Pump, that is my bag, baby.
Yeah,
great.
that's in his luggage too. Is a book called that. It's a whole bit where they find the penis pump, and then he's like, "That's not mine," and then he shows them the book, and the book has that title.
Okay, yeah.
You gotta see it. It's great.
I always just thought, oh, that looks like it would be dumb, and
Well, it is kind of stupid, but it's still funny. And Undercover
yeah.
Brother is better than Austin Powers, Samuel. I agree. But they're both good.
Yeah. I've never seen that one either. So I've never even heard of Undercover Brother, actually. Doc said this makes me want to temporarily change my name to Dorothy's Magic Beaver. That's great. Blue Waffle was me. Hangs head in shame. Oh, you were responsible for that, huh? It was you who scarred me for life, Doc. It's okay. It's all good. I've blotted that out of my memory. I'm good at that kind of thing. Austin Powers watch party. Hey, maybe I should do that. That would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done a watch party in a long time. Actually, that's another thing that I haven't done. The Discord watch parties. Yeah, we could put that on the list to do a watch party for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do Undercover Brother as well.
Yeah, that would be fun. Sure, we could totally do that. Yeah, it's been so long that I wonder if people might have like already forgotten and about these things and might not even show up. Like they might just have given up by now and took off. But it's just been a temporary hiatus while I experience some some life stuff for a while out in the three-dimensional world. I had been living my life mostly through screens for over a year and a half. So it was good to just, step away, get completely away from screens most of the time. It was good for me. But I want to, do regular Discord watch parties and, get back to a regular live schedule. We're not going anywhere, the Discord and the channel. Doc said, I've been wanting to rewatch the Austin Powers movies. My cat's getting in the way. I was telling a coworker that yesterday. I don't think I've seen them in over a decade, maybe even 20 years. Oh, wow. Yeah, good time to rewatch it then. Maybe we'll yeah, I mean, I'm going to be really busy with packing and stuff, but I could always, have a watch party and just be doing that in the background. That would be fun. Yeah, we could maybe schedule something for this weekend. Samuel said blue waffle is fake. Hopefully that makes the bad memory better. Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't know if it was or it wasn't. I just got away, looked away from it as quickly as possible. Anyway, this has been fun. Speaking of packing and stuff, I do need to get back at it and get something to eat and whatnot. But it's been a lot of fun getting back on here with the community again, hanging out with Doug and Scarlet and all of you guys in the chat. Really appreciate everybody who showed up and haven't forgotten about us, because I was a little worried. You take some time away and people just can kind of forget and just find other things to do with their time. It's easy to do. I really appreciate everybody who showed up, and we'll keep on coming back, not going anywhere. It's just going to be a little bit less often for a while. I'm not covering any current shows right now. I haven't been in a while. I thought about covering Alien Earth, but as I watched it, I just couldn't get into it enough to justify doing lives. Like I enjoyed it as a casual fan, but I couldn't. I have to be really into a show and passionate about it and have enough to say about it to do a live stream. And I was just watching it as a casual fan. So, and between that and being away for 6 weeks, I just didn't want to make the time investment into something I wasn't passionate about. So I decided to just let it.
And also, most TV shows now are like 7 or 8 episodes. So if you miss like 4, it's like hard to catch up. Because the seasons are so short.
Yes. And Alien Earth, I would have been playing catch up with that too. So that was another problem. So I would have been playing catch up because I think it overlapped with the Institute. So it just didn't work out. I didn't dislike the show or anything. It was just like, I'm watching it as a casual fan. That's all. And then there just wasn't anything else that I was into enough to cover.
I only did like Alien Earth on Sci-Fi Vision because I'm a Noah Hawley fan. I like Legion. I like Fargo. So I just, it's like the trilogy. So I'm like, it's a Noah Hawley thing. I'll just do it.
Right.
But I'm not a huge Alien fan. I do like Blade Runner a lot. I like Blade Runner better than Alien, and I like the concept of Alien and the concept of corporations and what the world's like. But I haven't seen all the films.
Right. And I had never even seen Alien until this year, so that's another thing. Yeah. I watched Alien and Aliens, the sequel. And that's all I had ever seen. And I don't retain details enough just from watching the movie once. That's another thing. I didn't feel like I was enough of an expert on the Alien movies, or that I had enough knowledge about it to dive into this series. It was just too much. So yeah, that's another reason why I didn't cover it.
And I thought it was going to be a Noah Hawley thing because Legion didn't have anything to do with the Marvel Universe. And I thought the Alien would be the same, but it did tie into it. Because also my experience of Noah Hawley is like the surreal, like craziness, like obscure things and interesting. And people, like in Legion, they used to break out in dancing. There was a scene where they just broke out in dancing and singing, and it happened often, but it wasn't a musical. Things like that. There was a giant psychedelic pig that people were drinking from. They were drinking the milk of this giant pig. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen in Alien Earth, and it did not. There was restraint, and that was sad for me.
Yeah. Sorry that let you down there. But yeah.
But it was a Disney show, so what are you going to do?
Yeah. It was made by the Disney people. Steve, no, this is me in a nutshell. Help, I'm in a nutshell. How did I get into this nutshell? What kind of nut has a shell this big? Another quote.
Yeah, it's from Austin Powers.
Yeah, I figured. We missed this too, Doc. I'm glad to be back. Steve said I started watching a show and then I remember thinking this would be great for the stream, but now I can't remember what it was for the life of me. Oh well, if you think of it, let me know. Shoot me a DM in Discord, because that would be cool. There just hasn't been anything out that I'm into enough to want to cover right now. I yeah, there's been nothing at the moment, and the next thing coming out that I'm really into is Welcome to Derry. So that will be the next show that I want to cover here on the channel, and it's coming out October 26th. It's going to be out, I believe, on Sundays. We'll do watch parties in my Discord every week. Right when the episode drops, I'll stream. It's technically called Welcome to Derry now, which is dumb. They should have just kept it at Welcome to Derry.
Because people can't figure it out, Julie.
So dumb.
It is stupid.
It's so dumb. It's Welcome to Derry. God, people are not that stupid.
And they had to put a red balloon on it too, just so you knew, just so you could figure it out.
It's so stupid. But yeah, so now that has that clunky title, Welcome to Derry. But be that as it may, I think it'll be a great show, and I've been looking forward to this thing for over a year when I first heard about it, waiting and waiting. When the hell is it going to come out? And they took their sweet time with a release date. They said 2025, and I waited all year, nothing, and then we finally heard October, but there was no date for a long time. What date in October? And now we got it. It's October 26th.
It's interesting because I think both Lazarus and Telemasca come out on the same day too. I don't know why they're all like traffic together, you know?
Right.
It should be a space in between shows. Like when Severance and Yellow Jackets was going on at the same time, I thought I was losing my mind.
Oh yeah, that's
same day. I'm like, oh.
I don't know how you did that, because
let me wrap it around Severance and think about all the things there. But like, I'll have 15 minutes before Yellow Jack starts, and then I have to think about all those things.
Oh, I don't know how the hell you did that. That would really hamper my enjoyment of it too. Like,
yeah,
I wanted to devote that night to that one show. It's not like back in the day there'd be must-see TV on Thursday nights and I'm just watching 3 or 4 sitcoms in a row, and it's just a sitcom, so whatever, right? You just watch a few sitcoms and you're good, and it's great. There's more stuff to watch, but these are really thought-provoking, intense series that we watch, and you want to really digest it and think about it, and especially us when we're covering these shows as YouTube streamers. I don't want more than one show dropping in one night. That would be terrible that I'm covering. No, oh my God. Yeah, it'd be terrible.
Yeah, it's hard to cover it because you want to keep yourself fresh, and you got to watch it because then everybody's like videos and stuff come out, and you don't want to you have to trudge through that ocean.
Right.
Just like only Murders in the Building. I want to watch it as soon as it drops because I was watching a video about episode 5. And then when I went to the kitchen, it changed to the Hulu podcast they're doing about episode 6. So it changed before I even got to watch it. So I'm like trying to hit the pause on my TV so I don't hear anything. But it's kind of ridiculous how fast things come out. Like it just came out like after it had been released for like an hour, and there's already videos about it.
I know, right? The people.
The video from Hulu itself, I'm like, wow. Could you give a little time to breathe?
Yeah, the people who have screeners, they've got those all ready to go, and they drop it. They just have to press post, publish, and then it's out instantly. And the people who don't have streamers are scrambling to try to keep up and put out videos. I'm
trying to solve the mystery. There's like a finger that they have. I'm trying to figure out whose finger it is. I'm trying to figure out. There's birds. Everybody's a particular bird. You got to figure out which bird is what person. Stuff like that.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, even if I were offered a screener one day, I wouldn't even want them because I like not knowing what's going to happen too fast. I like it to be spread out. I want to digest it slowly. I don't want to binge watch things. I don't like binging, and I would want to, as a streamer, I want to week to week just like theorize with everybody else. And as somebody who makes videos, I want to guess what's going to happen and make theories, and I can't do that if I have screeners. So I never want screeners.
That's why I like Telemasca, at least because it's on AMC and all the Anne Rice stuff like Interview with a Vampire and Mayfair Witches as week to week, because I like a nice week to week.
Right.
Like once
Yeah.
it was released 4 and 4, which was okay enough, but I still would like to have it week to week. And then when they released they've released 3 episodes of Only Murders in the Building all at once, and everybody was like, they should have released more. And I'm like, why would you want to release more? It's got 10 episodes. It's a mystery, and you're releasing 3.
Oh.
You know, I
Yeah.
would tend to absorb the clues and look for clues and watch it a couple times. You know.
That's annoying. Yeah, I don't like when they do that. I don't like when they drop thought-provoking multiple episodes of thought-provoking shows at once, so you can't even digest it.
Yeah, and you could tell the people that were actually doing the video channel, the ones I don't know if they give out screeners or not, but these people definitely didn't have screeners, and it was really hard for them to do 3 episodes at once.
Right. I bet.
It's a little bit too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And Stranger Things, I'm definitely
that drops
covering.
all at once, doesn't it?
This time it's not going to drop all at once. They're dividing it up a bit. I wish they would divide it up more. I'm going to be covering Stranger Things, but it's going to be very difficult, and I won't be able to deep dive in the way that I would really like. It just won't be possible because they're going to drop the end of November. I forget the date. They're going to drop the first few episodes, like the first half of the season, I think. And then I think like sometime in December, they drop the second half of the season, and then they're holding back the series finale for New Year's Eve. So 3 separate drops. That'll at least enable us to do some live streams on it before the whole thing drops. So I mean, I'm glad for that, because with most Netflix shows, it's a complete dump. The whole thing, they drop everything.
Yeah, that's what they kind of did with Sandman. They dropped the first part, then the second part, and then the finale. Like, because the finales were all kind of like a stands on its own thing. But still.
Yeah.
It makes doing lives really hard, because it's like, you know, everybody's seen it, but then you want to watch it, so you're just doing it week to week anyway, because you're like, oh well.
Right. A lot of streamers just choose not to cover shows that drop all at once that people can binge. It ruins it for content creators. But like Fallout, a lot of people didn't cover Fallout because they dropped that all at once. What a great show. It's too bad. And Stranger Things, they really shouldn't be doing it this way now more than ever, because every episode of the final season is going to be the length of a movie. And so it's like, why can't you just deviate from your Netflix model just once and just do at least just 1 week at a time, like 1 movie length episode at a time, and imagine what we could dissect in that, what we could, really sink our teeth into. How are we supposed to digest a few movie length episodes at once?
That's what they even did with Alien Earth. They showed the first 2 episodes, and they were longer than an hour each.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. Stranger Things is really eventful too. It's an action-packed show.
What they did with Fallout, a lot of places did like the first episode, then they did a the middle of the season, and then the finale, which I didn't like, because then I didn't know what to watch up to watch it with, to see people analyzing it.
Yeah. So I don't like the way they're doing it, but I'm gonna make the best of it. And so it'll be a little chaotic though, because Stranger Things, the beginning of their drop, that'll happen overlapping with Welcome to Derry. So I'll still be covering Welcome to Derry, and also I want to do a live stream on the first few episodes of Stranger Things when it drops, and then around Christmas time or whatever, do another live on the next few episodes of Stranger Things, or who knows, maybe more than 1 live on the first few episodes of Stranger Things. That would be cool. If people show up and are interested, I could do that, but it's going to be very hectic. A live on Welcome to Derry every week, a live on Stranger Things every week, and FROMACADEMY.
Have to tell people in the chat that we're only going up to a certain episode, and you can't talk any further. No spoilers.
Yeah.
If people are having watch parties and stuff, you want to keep it,
right.
Not spoil it for the people who are following along.
It's tricky. So I don't know how we'll divide it. If we'll, just talk about all the episodes at once, just assume everybody's binged it, or still try to do it episode by episode, which we could do. I mean, I would prefer it that way, but we'll have plenty of time to think about it between now and the end of November. It's cool that they're holding back the finale for New Year's Eve. I like that. So there'll be a break where we can digest the rest of the season and really talk about, okay, how is it all going to end? That'll be fun. We can do a nice discussion on that in a live stream. So yeah, I think that'll be that'll be so hectic that it's good that I have this time right now where I'm not covering a current show, and with everything going on in my life, I really don't have the time anyway. So it just kind of worked out. I'm not having to miss out on some amazing show I want to cover right now, because it's not that I'm hating on the shows that are out right now. It's just that none of them are my thing at the moment.
Yeah.
So, what else did Steve is full of jokes here. Welcome to Dairy. It's a horror about lactose intolerance. That would be horrible for me. That would be a horror show because I love dairy. I love ice cream and cheese. So yeah, that would be terrifying. He said, "Anybody see?"
I know that Cyber Queen Media was going to do one called Dairy Girls, which I thought was a great title, but they had Dairy Girls a year ago, and then when the girls left, it's taken too long for the show to come out.
Right. Yeah. Steve said, "Anybody see anything about Good Boy, the horror movie where the main character is a dog, but it's a serious horror movie?"
I saw one
picture.
Haven't. I saw one picture that said "Good Dog" underneath it, and that's all I know.
That sounds really weird. I'll have to look it up. Said I've seen it happen before. Remember Roll Over Beethoven? Tragic. No, I've never heard of that. What?
Beethoven,
the Beethoven movies with the dog? Was there a scary Beethoven the dog movie? I'll have to look that up. I liked some of those movies when I was a kid. Doc said, "My birthday is next month. Please prepare your planet for easy alien conquest for me as a present." Okay, we will keep that in mind.
Do you mean trivia, Doc? Is that what you mean? You mean trivia, right?
Yes. Steve says, "Keep my mom and my nanny in your thoughts and prayers." Oh, we sure will. We sure will, Steve. You're an amazing human being for what you did, taking care of your grandma for all those years. And I just have nothing but respect for you. You're a beautiful soul. And my heart goes out to you and your loss. We're so sorry. And hang in there. Thoughts and prayers for your mom, for her for them to find out what's going on with her and so that she can heal. That's a lot. That's a heavy burden you're carrying right now. Your grief and then this happening. So you're in our thoughts and prayers, and we'll be thinking about you, and we're here to support you. Anything we can do, even if it's just taking a little time away from all that and putting your mind on something else for just a little while. So and Vibrant Numerals, Doc said, "Doc, I'll put in a special request just for your birthday." Okay, I never heard of that, Samuel. Pluribus is also coming out in November. I look forward to that more than Derry and Stranger Things.
That's the Vince Gilligan one.
Oh, okay.
It's based on a book called All Better Now, I'm going to say. I got it from the library. I'm not 100%.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's about a virus that's making people happy. but you can't. It's not good.
Oh, sounds great to me. I'll have some of that. Give me some of that. Infect me
Think
with
it
some
might
of
be a
that virus.
satire.
I'll take it. Oh, all right. Well, I'm gonna look it up now and see what that's about. All right. I need to head out.
Yeah,
I'm starting
I need to
to
sleep.
my pain. Yeah, my pain is getting bad. I need to go for a walk, but and get back to packing. But um and yeah, next time we will be back 12:30 a.m. Friday night into Saturday with Doc and hopefully Carl. We missed you on this live, and hopefully he'll be able to join. Yeah, well, looking forward to getting back to From Academy with Doc, and it'll be the mystery of Martin continued. So bring your thoughts and theories on Martin, and we'll have some fun with that. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, it's just life in my messed up body. After a certain number of hours of rest, I have to go for a walk to manage my pain. So that's what I'm going to do. Phil the Issues guy is going to cover that show. Oh, I love Phil.
Yeah.
Phil's awesome, Samuel. Oh, I'm going to look into that show now.
Breaking down the trailer of it, and it was pretty funny. He's a pretty fun guy.
Oh, Phil is hilarious. Yeah, Phil is great. Vibrant Numerals, this was great. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. And you have a good night too. Yeah, everybody, if you're interested in numerology, check out Vibrant Numerals channel. Yeah, I would encourage everybody to check her out. She's such a kind human being. And yeah, Doc's channel, of course. In the description of this video, you'll be able to find Doug Hughes's website, links to where you can buy his plays, and of course Doc Kaiju's channel. So please subscribe to our friend Doc, and the Kaiju and Critter Show, which they're going to be streaming from soon, we hope. And what else? Oh yeah, and if anybody out there needs a copy of Doug's book, you can get that for free. Once again, you can email me at JulieBDeepDives@gmail.com to get a copy of Doug's book, The Poor Player. Next Wednesday, we're going to shoot for doing a live up to page 150. So that's the assignment for the book club. And looking forward to that. Thank you so much to everybody who showed up and brought questions and comments and just hung out with us. Appreciate you guys so much. It's nice to be back and hanging out with all of you as always. Good night, Doc and Amy and everybody else in the chat, and Scarlet. Thanks for being here. So, good night, goats. I missed the goats. Gotta have the goats. Good. The goats are saying good night too.
Yeah, I have my bell, or else I'd be ringing my bell, yelling for Mackie. But it's a quiet night.
Yeah. All right. Hope everyone has a good day or a good night wherever you are out there, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Stay safe. Be well.
Yeah. That's a theory creaking open, baby.
Yo, welcome to the screen where the plot gets bent. Julie B deep dives, not just for content. She don't react, she dissects those threads from the lens. catching clues y'all missed when the credits end. What you know about freeze framing frames and while you blinking, she building an evidence drum. Got a notebook thicker than the lore itself, and a chat full of nerds with a mental health shelf. Yeah, she sees the glitch, peep the double cross. You just watching TV, she talk to the boss. Every theory and thesis, no throwaway guess. While y'all on season 1, she in season X. Said rewind and slow it, zoom in, enhance. Julie B caught the symbol in the window glance. While you tweeting what just happened like a clown, she already made a flow chart, color coded breakdown.
They don't die like us, they don't vibe like us. They binge and they bounce, we revive that trust. They skip intros, we every frame. You watch shows, we decode the game. They don't die like us, nah, they don't die like us.
She cracked Severance before y'all knew it was deep. Predicted The Last of Us, depths in her sleep. When the camera pans, she ain't blinking once. Catch a ghost in the glass, call it theory punch. Watch parties lit like apocalypse nights. Call-ins while they bringing alien rights.
Hey, Julie, I think the trees are spies. Well, I have a spreadsheet that confirms that, guys.
Zoom in, boom in, she moving through clues. Spinning Discord in the courtrooms, Lord of views. Got mods with receipts. Time stands with heat. Every rewatch turns into a Reddit elite. You stuck on the surface, we beneath with maps. Cross-referencing lore with the rector's caps. If your fave show got secrets, don't be dumb. Julie got the chalkboard out in From's where it's from.
They don't dive like us, they don't vibe like us. They skim the edge, we inside that crust. They zone out, we zone in the pain. You say plot twist, we say nope, chain. They don't dive like us, nah, they don't dive like us.
What's that?
That ain't a blooper, that's a plot thread. You thought it was a shadow? She thought it was a coded message from season 3. And she's probably right. Step this way if your mind's unbent. Step that way if your theories pay rent. Say Julie B, deep dive queen. Now zoom, scroll, theorize, pull. Ain't no rabbit hole safe once she got the cloud.
They don't